Tuesday, December 15th at 7 p.m. at the Village Complex. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join us.
Flag to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was very beautiful.
Agenda review. Remove the fire department budget up to the under law enforcement, the first above animal control.
James?
Agenda. Yeah.
Hi, if you could mute yourself, please. If you're on the phone, it's *6 for me, please. Yes, and then you'll *6 again to unmute if you're when you need to talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Something else. And under 9, in the only necessary business, I'm going to add a tax letter we need to approve for Ms. Cheney to hire authority to help with tax sales. We'll talk about that one. That'd be 9B. And I think that's it for my part. Mark?
Executive session personnel, please.
Okay. Nicole? Anything?
No changes, sir.
Elizabeth?
I'm good, thank you.
Kathy?
I have one change to the orders. I
Yeah.
want to add D of the MVU school district orders.
Yeah.
Distribute
Okay.
the tax money.
Okay, anything else?
And that is it, thank you.
David?
Yep, under 10, add B,
10 at B.
yeah, the court diversion program is requesting a donation increase from 1,000 to 3,000.
Okay, we can talk about that when we do it. Anything else? Okay, anything? Heather?
I'm good for
All
now.
right. We hear a motion to approve the minutes from November 17th select board meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes, November 17th.
Any second on that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We do have a lot on the agenda tonight, guys, so I'll try to move through as quickly as we can. Public comment? Anybody got anything you need to discuss under public comment that's not on the agenda?
Hey folks, Jay Cummings here. I do.
Okay, go ahead, Jay.
Hey guys, so last time you recall, I had the discussion with you about the property taxes being late in the mail. And we had a great conversation about that, but it kind of just fizzled out and no real action was taken. We just kind of talked about it. So I'm here tonight asking that the board, that someone entertain a motion that the penalties are waived to the people that paid by mail if the mail was whatever you guys decide, 2 or 3 days late. If anybody'd like, I could revisit the information I provided last week, but I know that you're busy, but so you guide me on what you would like me to provide you.
Unfortunately, Jay, there's not much we can do because it's voted on it and that the taxes are due by 5 o'clock on
October 15th.
October 15th, right? Yep.
Yeah.
That's the way it's set in stone that way. If they're not received by 5 o'clock on that date, then they're considered late. Every time we vote in March. What's that, Jay?
I understand that, but I also disagree that there's when you're saying there's nothing that can be done, because that's information I have that's not accurate. And the bottom line here is, folks, that with all of the methods available to collect property taxes, you guys are forcing people to do it in the least reliable ways known. And then on top of it, with COVID making the post office even more busy and unreliable, you're asking the taxpayer to absorb the liability of God knows what and how long. So, I think it's just absolutely ludicrous that my property taxes go in the mail on October 7th, supposedly don't arrive until the 16th. And then the insult to injury is the check doesn't clear my bank until the 26th. So, other municipalities are making waivers due to COVID and the constraints on the US postal system. So I do believe that that is an option. It could be just viewed that you guys are capitalizing on COVID. You're profiting from COVID.
Come on.
They can't hear you.
Oh.
Well, they might have heard that, but
Yeah.
typically the response is they can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, Jay?
Yes, sir.
I think you're wrong saying we're capitalizing on COVID, because we certainly aren't capitalizing on COVID. That's, I'm sorry that the taxes didn't get there on time when they were supposed to, but I mean, that's the taxpayer's responsibility to make sure their taxes get there on time. And it's not my fault that the post office didn't get there on time, or I shouldn't say my fault, it's not the town's fault that the post office didn't get them there on time.
But I would suggest that it's the town's fault for refusing to accept other forms that are much more reliable to take the wiggle room out of this. So
We can look at that in the future, we can look at that moving forward. I mean, nothing I can do about it from what happened 2 months ago.
So I still disagree with that, Jim, that you can, but you choose not to. St. Albans City is entertaining this and discussing these with taxpayers on a case-by-case basis. So I know it is an option. And I've been refused and requested for ACH several times and been refused that possibility and given bad answers with why they can't. So I just, from my point of view, in my opinion, I think you got everything lined up against the taxpayer, the methods that they can pay. And then, how many months in the mail do I need to put it that it arrives there on the 15th?
I don't know, I'm not the mailman, Jay.
Well, that's the point. You're agreeing with me
Yeah,
that the mail is
that's what I'm saying.
completely unreliable.
Mhm.
And then with COVID, makes it much more of a stressor. And I think you guys do have and I'll tell you what, let's make the motion that everybody else but me that was late by mail 2 and 3 days gets their fees waived. This is on principle. It doesn't have to be with me financially benefiting my $500. But the point is, for you saying that you can't, I'm disagreeing with that because other municipalities are. So I'm just asking you guys to entertain that.
I have a question.
I was just gonna say, that I'm only one of 5, so I wanna hear from the rest of them.
Yeah.
Select board members.
Actually,
My first question is, when we had the animal licensing, we deferred that a few months. I can walk over there. You want me to?
I just need to make
So,
sure. Are you hearing, Heather?
Licensing, Kathy, we deferred that a couple months because of the
The
pandemic.
tax bills go out in September.
Yeah.
Everyone has enough time to mail their bills on time. If you wait till the last few days to mail your bill, with the holiday in October, chances are, if you mail it on Saturday, it's not gonna get there on the 15th. Everyone knows, and every time, just for the past 5 years, I have meetings before the bills are due. And we make it a point to say at every select board meeting, if you're gonna mail your bill, don't wait till the 12th, the 13th, or the 14th to mail your bill. Unless you go into the post office that morning on the 15th and say, I want this delivered to the Swanton post office box today. It's gonna leave Swanton, it's gonna be gone 3 days and come back. Unfortunately, the interest and penalty is there for a reason. If we didn't have an interest and penalty, nobody would pay their taxes on time. And we need our money. We go from January to October, waiting for our tax money to commit. And there's plenty of time to get your money here. We have looked at ACH before. We've also had a few towns that have been hacked through their ACH and had money taken. So it's something, you gotta weigh the odds of what can be done and what can't done. We're looking into it, we've been looking into it. We're just trying to find the safest way for the town, because you can't say you can't get hacked because you can. So unfortunately, when Joel was here, when it came up that the legislature said that the town could, if they wanted to, waive the due date, back the due date up on the taxes. I don't know if he discussed it with everybody in executive session or if he just discussed it at all.
Yeah.
But if we had backed up our taxes to collect them any later in the year, we would literally have no money.
That's right.
I mean, we get our tax money in October. The fire department wouldn't get their money, rescue squad wouldn't get their money, the library wouldn't get their money. We wouldn't make payroll, we wouldn't be able to pay our bills without borrowing.
The hard part, I understand where Heather's coming from, is it's a $14
But a $14 dog license
or
versus-
$5,000 tax bill. I mean,
There's a big difference. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't make a lot of money on the dogs, so that doesn't pay our bills.
No.
And it doesn't pay,
Yeah.
our quarterlies and everything else we pay. So unfortunately, the bills go out. I wouldn't, and like I said, I always say in the select board meetings, don't rely on the mail. It happens. And there was some people who requested bill pay from their bank at the beginning of October, and those checks were dated the 14th. They were mailed on the 14th. I don't know where the checks were coming from or what area, but you're not gonna mail, even in Swanton,
Yeah.
on the 14th and get to the bank, get to the town clerk's office by 15 to 5 p.m. unless you overnight it. So I mean, there is pros and cons. The interest and penalty, we vote on it in March, but it's a state statute. It's a legislation. The statute states that that's what it is. So I mean, you could go before the BCA. There's a criteria you have to meet. If you meet the criteria, you can request a BCA meeting. So and the criteria get sent out. So I mean, unfortunately, it's hard for us to say we're not going to collect our money on October 15th and get everyone a month wait, because that puts us in a bad position, the town itself, as far as paying bills and having money to operate. And we could look at, and we looked at that too, is going to more switching our fiscal year and doing billing more, but it seems like every time we go to do it, it's a bad economy or something happens because you have to hit the taxpayers with 18 months with budget in 12 months. So it's for the first year, it's kind of an extra, more taxes to your taxpayers. So that's my.
So if I mailed it on the 14th,
Just a second, Jay. Just a second, Ed Stevens.
The other option, correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy, everybody has the right, they can go to the town clerk's office and drop it in the mailbox.
Yep, we do have a mail slot. We have a lot of people that do that. If they think they're gonna be late, they come to the post office, they come to the office and put it in our mail slot.
Yeah.
And I tell people that who call and say, oh, I'm gonna be mailing my taxes out. I go, no, they're not gonna get here on time. Just put them in the mail slot. If you work, come at night. If you leave early in the morning, put them in there. It's safe, we'll get it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Does
So.
the town accept credit cards for taxes?
Excuse me?
Do you accept credit
Ed,
cards
can
for
you
taxes?
talk up for me,
No,
please?
because we don't have a big demand for it.
Okay, yes, okay, thank you.
Hey, Jay, this is Mark. Certainly, it's an unfortunate incident. I'm not sure how many others there were, if any. But I can give you my word that I think that it's fair that the town of Swan should be really looking at moving forward to the next step of having the automated. A lot of towns do it, small towns. It's just weighing the pros and cons and which avenue is the best. I really think that we should be looking at that route. Just when we're gonna get there, I'm not sure. But I say, I'm sorry they didn't get here in time, and I'm not in favor of waiving that late fee myself.
so, if I had dropped it from the 13th to the 14th, I'd be here saying, shame on me. It went the 7th, and I understand what Kathy's saying. But by the same token, if it was such an urgency to have the money, the check that you received on the 16th didn't clear my bank until 10 days later.
Because once the taxes become delinquent, which is 501 on October 15th, we're not allowed to, at the town clerk's office, accept any payments because now they are considered past due / delinquent payments. So the check comes in the mail, I have to attest the date and time that we received it. And then once I finish rolling over, making the report and rolling over the delinquent tax warrant to the tax collector, it takes a few days. So once I get it to her, then she does her mailing, processes and does the mailing.
So the check goes to her?
Yes, because we can't process it once it becomes late.
But I think if we've agreed on anything here, is that the mail is completely unreliable. And that's basically the form that you're forcing people to use, other than getting in their car and driving there.
But I believe
And I think
too
that's
that-
absolutely ridiculous in 2020 to rely on the two worst forms of transferring money on the planet.
Gee, this is Mark again. I agree. And we are going to continue to look at what avenues and which options are better than continue to go with mail at this point.
But it was October 7th.
That, I remember receiving those checks, and your check, there was checks in that envelope that were sent by that same bank. There was 6 checks in that envelope, and they were dated anywhere from the 17th, the 7th to the 14th. So I'm assuming, I don't know how the bill pay works with them, but it's almost like they waited till the 14th and mailed them out on the 14th, because there was more than one check in that envelope, because I'm the one who attested to receiving it.
Yeah, mine, I checked it where I work, and they had budgeted 7 days in the mail, which I thought would have been sufficient.
Anybody else? See that?
I think that, well, I have one question. Who has the authority to waive the fee for a week because of pandemic related issues? Who has the power to say, this year, 2020, things are very challenging, the Postal Service is unbelievably delayed because of the pandemic, I'm going to go ahead and waive it for a week, and anything that is a week late will be still included this one time?
I don't think the pandemic slowed down the mail, honestly.
Can't. The problem is, now we're putting the cart after the horse here, because it's,
The mail,
taxes were back in October, and now we can't go and send it a week later, a month and a half later, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you would know.
If we were gonna do something like that, it should have been before the taxes.
You would
were
know
due.
who was a week late, and you'd know that it was not because they were trying to get away with it and taking their time doing it, it was because of the Postal Service. But does anybody have that, who has that authority, other than taxpayers?
The taxpayers don't
have the authority.
Well,
well, we vote on the due date and the time.
Right,
But as far as the interest and penalty, that's put out there, it's put on your tax bill.
But it's state statute, that they made that up.
We didn't make that up. We don't charge the 8% and the 1.5%. That is what every town or city clerk does in the state of Vermont. It's state statute that sets. If they want it changed, they should go to their legislatures and get it changed.
sure.
But I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, we don't control it. You can have a BCA meeting, and like I said, if you meet the criteria and you feel that you meet what they think is acceptable to waive the interest and penalty, they have the authority to waive the interest and penalty. You have to have a hearing, which we do sometimes, and they plead the case, and then they decide, yes, we're going to waive the interest and penalty. No, we're not going to.
But for this particular situation, who would have the authority to say, you have a week leniency?
It was put out to the towns earlier in the year if they wanted to do that.
Okay,
And it was opted because our taxes aren't paid until way in 10 months into our budget,
okay.
that it wasn't an option for us because we need our money. We're going into, 2 months before we're starting, a month before we're starting budgets again. So, and we're already 10 months into our year of paying
So the
bills.
select board would vote on it. Okay, and one more question while we're on the subject. Could you potentially move the due date up a month, every 10 months, so that we could be on track with our budget?
Can we move it to January 1st?
I don't know, we take out loans every year.
We don't
We don't every year. We have that line of credit if we have to.
We have
We have it there in case we need it. We borrow it.
It's not long.
It fluctuates back and forth every year. Like going into the year, when we finish our budgets, we'll know how much carryover we're gonna have that we deduct from our budget. That's gonna get calculated before the end of the year. That sometimes that will carry us until June.
Okay,
If there's delinquent tax money collected, that will carry us to June. If there's adjustment to the school budget, that will carry us to June. The highway department gets some federal aid quarterly, state aid, quarterly, that carries us. So we don't always have to borrow, but mainly we have to borrow to support all of our other departments. to make our payments to the fire department, the rescue squad, the library, the rec department. So sometimes we have enough money to carry us to September. But this year we didn't because we didn't have a lot of carryover.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. Anything, is Jay still there? Yeah. Anything else, Jay, before we move on?
No, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening.
Okay, Jay.
Thank you.
We're gonna do, discuss the 2021 fire budget.
Are we still in public?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Go
I'm
ahead.
here. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Hi, this is Linda Dano. Hi, and I'm calling kind of for the same issue, but not quite, property taxes. I've been receiving a letter from Betty for 2 years now, and pertaining to my 2018 taxes. I filed them online, and I never received a letter from the state, and then I had spoke with Kathy, and she said they did receive them, so when I got my tax bill, I was a non-resident. So again, I had to call the state, and they said they received only one of my forms, which I had sent did them both at the same time. So I don't know what happened, but they sent me the paper form, and I filled those out. They told me they would send a payment on October 8th so that I wouldn't have to have all the penalties put against my taxes. So it kind of dragged out until November, and I had called Kathy and spoke with Kathy, and she said they didn't get the check till November 1st from the state. Well, not the check, but the payment. And she didn't send me the revised bill because of voting and all that, which I understand they're busy, but I also don't feel I should have been penalized for that because she didn't have time to send me the bill and all of the interest and all that. So I did pay my taxes, I paid them, and what I did not pay was for Betty because I was working with Kathy and she knew what was going on and everything else. So I had to take her word, and then I have the state that's telling me different. So in the end, now she is telling me that my home is going to go up for tax sale. And I don't know how that can happen because my taxes are paid. I paid the taxes for 2018. And what isn't paid is what Betty wanted for her interest. So that's where I'm at, and Betty is not directly hired an employee. She's an independent tax collector, so I don't understand how she can sell my home for what she feels she should be collecting for her personal self.
Betty is a voted official from the town.
What's that?
Betty is
She's
an
voted
elected
in, yes.
official from the town as the tax collector.
I'm not hearing anything.
Can you
Yeah.
hear me now?
Yep,
This is James. Betty is an elected official as a
Right.
elected tax collector.
okay.
Yeah. I don't know anything about your past taxes. I don't, you haven't even had taxes, I don't. I mean, if you pass, that's Betty who's here to collect.
Right.
I don't know where she's going.
And
But
when I talk to people, if they haven't filed their homestead forms and they're not, if they're getting taxed non-residential, which is the HS, you have to file HS 122 in your income, which is HI 144. When they call the office and say that they have filed late, you have until October 15th to file those two forms. But I also, and Tanya does too, both of us tell people, if you want to avoid your interest and penalty, pay them on the 15th. And then if the money comes in after, which you'll see in your orders today, money comes in November 1st, if we receive a credit, we mail the check back to the customer.
That's right.
I never tell anyone not to pay their taxes. because I don't want to pay the interest and penalty. I go pay it, you'll get the money back when it comes in. Because after.
I refiled it in September. And the
Right, but
state
when
told
you-
me they would send the money or the credit to the town by October 8th. You told me you didn't receive it until November 1st.
Right, because they only do.
And I waited again, well, that's when you told me that I could have paid the amount. After the fact. So, because you had told me that you would wait and you would revise the bill, so I waited and waited. I even called you on the 14th and you said you didn't understand why I hadn't received it yet. On the 14th of November. So that brought me to the end of November.
On the first of each month. When you file, we only get a download on the first of each month. So first of all, I'm telling you the 8th is incorrect because they only download on the first. If the first is on a weekend, then it's on the second. They never do at random times during the month.
That's what the lady told me.
The listers print the revised.
And I did send them back to, I did send the forms back to the state before the 1st of October. So they would have been there for them to send it by the 1st of October.
I hate to say this, but the state's not that fast.
Yeah.
It takes them a while. I've had people who file in April and we didn't get their tax credit until beginning of
But it's
August,
not-
September.
It's not the town's responsibility to make sure the taxpayer gets their tax credit, right?
Right, it comes
That's up
downloaded
to the
from, it's just,
homeowner,
right.
taxpayer, to get their own tax.
I understand that, but you say the town, okay, well, they got it on the 1st, you got it on the 1st, and on the 14th of November, I still hadn't received the revised bill, so the state's not the only one that's slow, because, like I said, I ended up paying a month's worth of penalties for November and interest, because I was waiting for the bill, which the state sent the payment on the 1st of November, and I still, by the 14th, still didn't get the bill. I had called Kathy about that. And Kathy said she didn't understand why I didn't receive it, that they had been mailed.
But your original bill was due on October 15th. So it doesn't matter if you we're gonna read your state payment on November 1st or not.
That's right.
You have to pay the taxes by October 15th. So the taxes weren't paid on the 15th. The state sent your tax credit on November 1st. And when they come out, the listers do a download, they print the revised bills, and they get sent out. So,
So the listers didn't send it out when they got it right off, and so I got penalized for an extra month.
You got
penalized for an extra month because you didn't pay your taxes on October 15th. It had nothing to do with your state payment. It was the due date of your original tax bill.
The state, unfortunately, the state paperwork should have been done before taxes were due on October 15th, so you had that credit.
I did do that. I told you, I did it on the internet. They told me they received only one of the forms. And that's where the problem started, apparently.
But that's not the town's responsibility to get that tax credit. It's your responsibility. The bill your taxes have to be paid by the 15th of October. If the tax credit's not with the tax bill on the 15th of October, there's not much we can do about that. If they credit you after the fact, then.
Okay, like I said, my taxes did get paid.
Okay.
So now, I am being told that my home's gonna be put up for sale for taxes that are due. They're not due, they've been paid. So, this is what I'm having a problem with. And I was told on one of the letters to make sure I retained a competent attorney. No other town ever puts that on any of their letters from their tax, when they collect for taxes. And if we want to get down, I'm going to bring up an issue back when I subdivided my land in 2007. The town billed me and the state for 6 years on a piece of property that did not get recorded. And when I sold my home, They devalued it from 43,000. This is what Jim Pratt did, 43,000, and he put it down to 30,000. I went into the town clerk, Kathy was there, and I spoke with Tanya, and in April 2014, and I looked at her and I said, this lot never got recorded. And her response to me, and I will quote her exact words, we do that for everybody, and besides, it helped you on your taxes. You tell me, how did it help me on my taxes to bill me for something that legally did not exist? You tell me, who's overlooking all of this?
Did you do?
And
a
this is
separate-
all from being subdivided because everybody didn't want me here. They didn't want me to put a mobile home. They did everything. They told me to tear down my garage. They thought that would stop me. Realtor told me I lost $15,000 because the town told you to do that when you didn't have to do that.
When you subdivided your property, you put it into 2 lots, right?
There was 2 lots, yeah. The original, and they tacked on the property, the taxes on, it doesn't matter, Kathy. The point is, it never got recorded. It did not exist. I should have not been charged taxes on something that was not legally recorded.
Well, did you go?
How can you appraise a piece of land for 43,000 when it's not recorded? And then you devalue it 7 years later to 30,000?
I'm gonna ask you, ma'am, to, yeah, I
Call
think you should
Jim.
put this on the agenda if you really want to discuss it further. This public comment's supposed to be a little shorter than this. We're going way too long on this. I don't know.
But it seems like everybody does what they want. You try to work with you people and you've got the law behind you, or you got this or that, or, you know, it doesn't matter. You still haven't answered and told me, if my taxes are paid, how can Betty still sell my home for $187?
Yes. Yeah.
Linda, we're going to put it on the next agenda so we can have a discussion, because public comment really isn't for discussion, it's for comment. So we'll put it on your issue on the next agenda.
Okay, and I'll be getting a notification of that? Or when is the next one?
The next, January 5th.
January 5th.
But I would still advocate
Okay,
pay the taxes.
at 7 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right,
Say, Mark, answer.
Linda, are you still there?
yep,
This is Mark. I would still advocate to do what you can to stop that tax sale, whether it's paying your taxes or whatever. You don't want to just go on another month.
if what?
I would advocate that you talk with Betty to pay your back taxes, whether you believe that you owe them or not, to stop that tax sale, because us having this discussion in 3 weeks from now is not gonna stop that sale unless you pay them.
Okay, well, who's the attorney that does these tax sales? I'm waiting for a letter. Supposedly, I'm supposed to get a notification from an attorney.
You will, yeah. I don't know who the attorney is yet, but we'll find out. Okay?
I didn't hear that, no.
You'll be getting a notification, and we'll follow up on that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, public comment?
Anybody else for public comment?
Hello?
Yes?
Hi. Do you hear me?
Yep, public comment?
Hi, this is Tawny Barrett. So I'm calling about the dog incident
Yeah,
on
we
Middle
haven't- hold on, we
Road.
haven't got to that
Hold
part
on.
yet. That's
You're on the agenda, so we will get there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just, so we just can say my name or what?
Yeah, no, you're fine. Bear with us.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, thank you.
I think we're good now.
So that's it for public comment? Anything that's not on the
We'll
agenda?
go back to it at the end if we need to.
Okay.
Fire budget, please.
Hurry.
So, to make it short and sweet, we've completely level funded.
Yep,
We've got a 2-year contract from the dispatch, dispatch, they're gonna hold their pricing for the next 2 years.
Nice.
Which will make it the same price for the last 3 years.
Yep.
We've moved some funds around, internally of the budget, but we have level funded.
Okay?
I noticed that it was there's some things, there's like nothing was spent, but then you see it somewhere else, so
Right.
it
So
worked
just
out
kind of
really
move some
well.
things around internally
Yeah,
so it flow better. One of the biggest line items was, if you go down to the bottom and you look at equipment, so this year we had 60,620. So this year was our spend down of the air pack. So next year, we're looking at, in our equipment line item, 14,725. So what we've done with that, in order to level fund, we've been talking about a capital truck replacement fund that we've never really had. So we moved some money around, and we now have 35,572 that we're putting into a capital replacement fund.
I thought there was another fund for truck replacement.
There was, but that was always just to pay the payment on the current truck that we bought.
Okay, so that's no more, it's gone? Or is it still there?
There is a thing called truck payment on there, that is where you'll see like the payment for the new ladder and the new engine 3.
I'm trying to find it. Is it on the first page or second page?
Second page. Yeah, it's hard. I'm not looking at the same document you are, I
Yeah.
apologize.
Just above capital expenditure, like 5 lines from the bottom.
That must be on the wrong page.
Probably on the back.
It must be.
Be 122, 525.
Click on the bottom of page 22, if you guys,
There's 3 pages.
Maybe I have to find a number.
right on the very bottom.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You need new glasses?
I'm used to things.
Oh, here we go. I was looking too far out. Yeah.
Down towards the bottom.
So that, yeah, the 122,525
Right.
is the truck payment on the 2 new trucks?
Yep, so every year we'll see that descend a little bit.
Yeah.
As we progressively pay off our interest and we
Yeah.
get more in the principal.
What is that, 10 years or something?
So what
10,
what they
12.
did was they did a split, it was a 10 and a 12.
Yeah,
So we did a 10 on the engine and a
Yep.
12
I
on
knew it
the
was something
ladder,
like that.
the ladder truck.
Yeah.
So, no, historically, what we've been putting into a truck replacement fund was, when we stopped paying on an old truck, we
Yeah,
just
time
kept
for a new one.
putting that truck payment
Yeah,
in
I
and using
understand.
that. So we really never had a true capital truck replacement fund. So now we're trying to start building one
Okay.
to where we don't, these trucks age out 20 years with the electronics.
Mhm.
And we don't want to get to a point where we have to spend $1.4 million and bond the whole thing,
Yep.
where we could actually
Yeah.
pay a large chunk of it out of our own pocket. So,
I think that'd be much easier to sell to the taxpayers, including I, to have money put aside yearly to have that fund than come in and ask for 700,000, 800,000 a couple times.
that was
Right.
my next question, does that need to go on the ballot to allocate funds to something
No,
else?
Nope,
it's in
it's
with their
all in their
budget.
budget.
It's in their budget.
yeah, we're not asking for more.
No,
No.
No.
it's within, it's built into your
Okay,
budget.
so it's
So we
not.
just we're just moving money around
Mhm.
and building this fund.
As long as it's there at the time you need it.
Right.
Correct.
Just more of a curiosity question, telephone, internet,
Yeah, that was my question.
$2,000.
So what we've done is, on top of dispatching, we put tablets in every truck, and we run a program called E911. So basically, what, we get live updates on tablets as we're rolling.
Yep.
And it also gives us a live map,
Work. Yep.
and we can see who's responding, who's available, who's not available, so we know what assets we have and what we don't have.
Nice.
So we have increased that line item by doing
Okay,
that.
okay.
I have a question, just because I want to learn and figure this out.
Absolutely.
What is a subscription?
That's a good question.
It
That's
says-
one for Lynn.
I can answer that for you.
Oh, thank you.
So the village puts under subscriptions, it's basically any dues, any subscriptions. For example, like I have to belong to the Chiefs Association in the state, that goes under a line item for subscription. So they'll have, in the fire department, things that they have to belong to, for licensures and that stuff, that all goes under that line item.
Okay, and that's different from dues.
There's nothing there anyways.
So dues is for the Vermont State Firefighters Association that we belong to.
Okay. And it's only for them?
Yep.
Okay. Vermont.
So all the things that are under that for the fire department, Lynn would be able to break down all of those, I don't know.
Right.
But there's nothing there in your budget for subscriptions,
Right.
it's 0 for this year. So,
No, but
Yeah.
they spent some this year.
last year, yeah, or this
Last
past
year.
year, yeah.
Yeah, and they don't, yeah.
They're not
That's
asking for any
$100.
more.
You're not anticipating doing it again.
Right.
Anybody else got any questions for the fire department?
I think it looks good. I certainly appreciate you
Absolutely.
getting to where you are at this time of the
Yeah,
year
we
where
need-
we are, and the COVID, taxpayers are really gonna be.
I know it's uncertain times and a lot of people are unemployed at this time, so we understand, I mean, as taxpayers and homeowners ourselves in the town, so.
Some of us are just more fortunate than others, and it's gonna be tough for everybody.
Yeah, so. On a normal year, I wouldn't advocate for level funding, but this isn't a normal year, as we know, so. I appreciate what you guys do.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you all.
Anything else from us?
Stay safe.
I think we're good,
Okay, all
as
right,
long as you keep doing you and we'll keep doing us.
sounds good. Team effort.
All right, guys, thank you.
All right,
Thank
have a
you,
good
guys.
night, guys, thank you for getting this to
I
us.
appreciate you moving us up on the agenda.
No problem.
Well, it wasn't about you. I did it for him. He helped me on helping him.
You should say for me too, because he is the commissioner.
Oh, law enforcement, animal control month report. We have animal control report?
He is here.
Yeah, very good.
Jim, let's unmute you.
Do we have a copy in their learning packet? Is Jim on?
Jim, did you, give David a copy of your
Take care.
report?
The monthly report, yes.
Okay,
I emailed it to him a little while ago.
it doesn't have a page number, which tells
Anybody see
me.
the packet?
Page 6, maybe? That's
David,
according to the-
where's the ACO, month report?
No, that's the hearing.
Index.
I didn't put it in here, he's calling me.
I know, but it's nice to see his paperwork.
Take that one.
It's right here. Or is this it? Maybe this ain't it. No, I don't know. That's the only thing, you don't have a month report? It's not in the packet, so forget it, move on. But- Yeah, I know.
just talked to Brian.
Yeah.
He said, he could wait another hour.
Okay, it won't be much longer.
The vicious dog.
Yeah, we gotta do that quickly.
Look, talking about logistics, in case anybody was wondering.
We're good.
So do we?
Jim, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, is there anything, I don't have your report, you wanna read what you have to us, or anything
Would you like me to
particular?
read it to you?
Yes.
Okay. On 10/24, I went to 9 Country Acres, watered cats for hospitalized women. On 10/25, I found dog down by on Quam Shore. The guy that found it brought it up to 49 4th Street. I went and picked it up, returned it to the owner down on 14 McQuam Shore. On 10/29, 32 Platt Street, barking dog gave second verbal warning. 11/4, 36 Canada Street for dog at large, verbal warning. 11/16, dog found on Blake Street. Finder took it home to St. Albans Town. I went down there and picked it up and brought it home to Jewett Street. On 11/28, 2 pit bulls attacked and killed a cat at 205 Middle Road. On 11/29, I went to 132 Middle Road to investigate deceased cat. On 11/29, there was a dog bite. Tina Sharp's dog bit Karen Lamont at 10 Donaldson. On December 3rd, I went to 81 Gagner Drive for a daughter that bit by her unlicensed dog. I gave a verbal warning for that. And then again on 12/8, I went to 14th Sunset Terrace. His dog had bit his son on the tongue. The dog was vaccinated but not licensed. I gave him a verbal warning. And that's all of my monthly report.
And
Okay.
Jim, he did come and register that dog, just so you know,
Oh, which one?
the last one.
Sunset Terrace?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he would.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, all those dogs that you found unregistered that we just read about, have you followed up with Kathy to make sure they registered or got registered?
No.
Okay, can you do that to be sure that they do get registered? If not, then you go back and find the people for not registering them?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just want to make sure that they get taken care of and not lapsed and forgotten about, that they
I
didn't.
would like to speak about the dogs too, tonight, if I could please, on 132 Middle Road.
We're not quite there yet.
Hang on just a minute, we're almost there.
I didn't know where to begin to speak. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else, Jim, before we go to the vicious dog hearing?
No.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for Jim before we move on to the next one?
No.
Okay.
So,
James, I just wanted to note for the vicious dog hearing, the alleged owner of the dogs that were claimed to attack the cat,
Yeah.
submitted some information of her own, claiming that there's another dog running around the neighborhood that actually did it. It's in the addendum.
Hello?
Hang right on, we're almost there.
I just got that information today, so, it's part of the package for that.
Okay. Do we need to say that we're going into the vicious dog hearing or anything? We're just.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
announce it.
okay. So we're gonna go into the vicious, speak about the vicious dog hearing. Our information's on page 4. It's supposed to be.
Where do you want to begin?
Hang right on, we're gonna get our paperwork out
There.
there. We're almost there.
I think there's a few of us in the neighborhood that are probably on this call tonight.
Okay.
I am.
hey, could I get?
I am. Connie Barrett over here.
Okay, yeah, so if you're, 0905 phone number, that's Connie?
Yes, but I'm calling from my cell phone. Yep.
That's fine, I just need to get names. And then last 4, 2597, can I get your name, please, for the record?
Yep, that's Allison Ballard, 132 Middle Road.
Okay, is that 2
I'm
L's?
their neighbor.
2 L's or 1?
2 L's.
Thank you. Anybody, so let's see, how about 6140? Are you here for the vicious dog hearing? And you're muted, so you need to star 6.
What was that?
Are you here for the dog hearing?
No.
Okay, then you can star 6 again. And how about 2897? Are you here for the dog hearing?
Yes, I am.
Can I get your name for the record, please?
Kaylin Pelkey.
Okay, thank you.
Notice the vicious dog hearing on Tuesday, November 15th at, Tanya, I guess we'll let Tanya Barrett speak first.
Connie.
What is it, Tanya?
Connie.
Connie, yep.
It's with a T on here.
Oh, Tawny, okay, yep.
All right.
Sorry, okay. All right, so I guess you want Tawny to go first? Okay.
Okay, so this is Connie Barrett. So on 11/28, around 1 o'clock, I heard some dogs yipping, and when I went to check, they had my cat in its jowls and was shaking it like a rag doll, and I ran out there like a crazy person and chased them off. My cat was dead, so I went to follow, or see where the dogs were going. And my neighbor's the Shumways, kind of catty corner from me. I was pretty sure they didn't have dogs. I said, "Are those your dogs?" He said, "No, they live down in that blue house with the goats and stuff." And so right away I sent a message to my friend who lives directly across the street from them to warn her because she has small children and animals. And then she sent me the picture that you guys should have of the two that are kind of look like they're on a deck. So she sent me those, and those were the dogs. Like I say, my neighbor, Mr. Shumway, told me where the dogs lived. That's why I called or texted Nicole Nappy. So that's my story. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Did you hear any of what I just said, or?
Yes, we heard it all.
Oh, okay. I just didn't hear anything. I was afraid we got cut off. Okay.
The chair said he was sorry about the cat.
I'm sorry?
The chair said he was sorry about the cat.
Okay. Yeah, I am too.
Hard part is, I don't know if we have any proof that, I mean, you got pictures of the dogs, but how do I know that those dogs killed the cat?
Well, I'm on 132 Middle Road. I am their neighbor, and I know for a fact these are the dogs because I've had several run-ins with this neighbor about these two dogs. They were in my yard that very same day, just right before they killed Tawny's cat. And I called my husband, who called Kevin immediately after, trying to figure out how to get these dogs back out of the yard. One of them's Brindle, and that's the one that growls at me. He was literally right at the end of my porch. And the other one's got a lot of white in the face. I chased them off with a stick, screaming at them, and they ran directly next door on the other side of the house, in the blue house, which is only one away from me. And this is not the first time I've met these dogs, nor the first time I've spoke to these neighbors about these dogs. So I know for a fact there's no other dogs in this neighborhood that even look like this because they've been in my yard several times, and we've spoke to these neighbors. I don't even know their names. I just know we've had to chase these dogs out, and they came over here getting their dogs before. So, and they have came to the yard to get their dogs.
So hung up.
The pictures that Jim Benson submitted to me, so the one where you can see the white on the top of the head, that's basically.
Got a lot of white in the face. Yeah, one's got a lot of white in the face, and the other one's a Brindle. The Brindle one's the one that growls at me when I try to get him out of my yard.
Ma'am,
That's the one that had my cat and its jowls.
Okay. If I may, we need one person talking at a time, one, so we can hear you, and two, so I can write down what you're saying. If you could hold
Okay.
on for a minute. We're trying to ask
It's kind of breaking up, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so if
Yeah, your Zoom isn't working.
Okay, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, Jim, I want you to speak, please. This is James. Can you hear me?
Sorry?
Jim, it's James here. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Can you tell me what you found with your investigation?
Sure. So like Ms. Barrett said, I went over there, 251. She called me and told me that her cat had been killed by two dogs. She lives at 205 Middle Road. She showed me her dead cat, and I took a picture of it. She said that the two dogs were brown and white pawed. Ms. Barrett filled out a dog complaint affidavit, and she sent me a picture of dogs that she got off the internet her friend had given her. The next day, so then I went over to Zach Sane and Ashley Kirk's house. They weren't home, so I went over the next day again. They live at 138 Middle Road. It's 1/3 of a mile from Tawny's house. They say that they were at work at 1 p.m. and that their dogs were inside. They have three dogs, Taz, 4 years old, Octavia, 4 years old, and Sylvia, 2 years old. They did not have proof of vaccination or license. Plus, the dogs did not have collars on them. Also, on this case, Allison Ballard got in touch with me from 132 Middle Road. She stated that 2 dogs, one brindle colored and one with a white face, from 136 Middle Road had been in her yard on 11/28 at around 1 to 2 p.m., which would have been a little after Ms. Barrett's cat was killed. She said she chased them off and they went towards their home. This was the same time about that Tanny's cat was killed. She stated the dogs were constantly in her yard and that she spoke to the owner several times. When I went to speak to Zach and Zach Sane and Ashley Kirks, they stated that they did have collars and licenses for their dogs and that they were at work and they would send me pictures. They never did, though. I don't believe that their dogs were vaccinated, licensed, and I think they were at large, but I'm not positive. When I met the dogs, I took pictures. They were super overly friendly. They remind me of black labs. They didn't seem like the kind of dogs that would be killing, but I don't know for sure. There's no way for me to know. Any other questions?
Was there any other witnesses, Jim, that saw these dogs at large that day?
Not that I know of.
No. So there's no real proof that, other than Tanya, what's that?
Her neighbor also saw.
Yeah, saw, her
Well,
neighbor
she's
saw.
seen those dogs go back and forth from that house.
Yeah, but I'm talking about that day, though. Did she say that day?
No, I don't know
Yeah.
about that. She said
I can hear you talking, but I can't hear what you're saying.
It's just some internal.
Talks about yourself, sorry,
Yeah, I
Jim.
can hear.
Who's the other one that spoke?
Allison.
Allison, she saw the dogs that day.
Allison, you're muted, so I'm going to ask you to unmute you, star 69. Did you see the dogs that day? Star 6. I'm sorry, James has got me saying 69. Star 6.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. I had muted you, just so we could, but anyway, did you see the dogs that day?
Yes, I went to walk out on my porch. I was just going to the garage, and they were right there beside my garage, just a few feet in front of me. So I stepped back into the house, immediately called my fiance and told him the dogs were out here again, because I knew whose dogs they were because they've been out here several times. We spoke to the owners several times, and they, of course, always come over. They apologize. They get their dogs. They bring them home. They're usually walking up and down the street hollering to them. So it's kind of our way of knowing they're looking for the dogs. So I'm kind of aware. One of them's really, really friendly. The brindle one's the only one that growls at me. So I just try to scare him off to send him back home. And then a little while later, like an hour or so later, I see on Facebook that a picture of these dogs, and they attacked somebody's cat. So I immediately reached out to her because I was like, these dogs were just in my yard a few minutes ago. So of course, and when I reached out to my fiance, he called Kevin, which is just a couple houses down. He's like, those dogs are in our yard again. And of course, I'm scared and I won't go out to my garage.
Okay.
And we've seen them several times. That's just how we know it's their dogs. I mean, we've talked to the owner several times. They've been nothing but a nightmare since the day they moved in.
It sounds like an ongoing issue with the loose dogs, whether they admit it or not to me, but,
So that's a good point. If they are loose and they don't have their owner with them, they're already breaking the law.
that's right. Yep.
So even if this is not the
They're supposed to be either leased or in their yard.
there should be some kind of follow-up on making sure that doesn't happen again. So there's a ticket in place if you are caught without
There
your
is, yeah.
owner.
Generally, the first time is a verbal warning, then you get a ticket, and then
So
the
bare
after the
minimum,
second ticket, then some action has to be taken.
so bare minimum,
I just need to go in my yard and not be afraid to be, attacked by some dog.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Yep, I certainly do.
I mean, this is like 3, 4 times this has happened. That's why this time I'm acting on it because I've just had enough.
Yep. Hey, Jim,
Yes.
where did you leave it with the dog owners? Did you find them for not having their dogs
No, I didn't until after this hearing. I believe that they should, their dogs are definitely unlicensed, and unvaccinated. I think they should be fined $100 per dog. The select board can do that. And then also, I think they should be ordered to be kept on their property tied, and not allowed off their property unless they are tied or on a leash. And if they do that again, you guys could have fined them up to $500 for that.
That's right.
Because they have been over to Miss Ballard's house, and it seems, I'm pretty sure that they have been at at her house, barking at her like a vicious dog. So, you know, that's what I think.
Okay. So I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I think that we should, the select board should fine them for not having the dogs registered and not keeping their own yard. I think we have enough proof that they were not in their yard where they should have been. We have a couple people saying that they were running freely.
Yes, I think they should be fined, and those dogs should be licensed and vaccinated and kept in their yard. I have other neighbors saying that, what Allison said about them going up and down the road, hollering for their dogs, and, you know, it's a common occurrence. And, you know, this ended tragically, and I don't want it to happen to somebody else's pet or child.
Yeah, but in 3 years, they haven't been able to keep them in the yard. How are they going to do it now?
Put them in there in that fence with their goats, I guess. I don't know.
We're well aware of the
They got
situation
their goat
now,
fenced
folks.
in. Probably kill their goats.
Can I chime in?
Yeah. who's
Yes.
speaking?
This is Anita Para, and Kevin, my husband.
Hi,
will be-
Anita.
Hi. So Kevin
How
was
we doing?
speaking.
This is Kevin Para.
Hi, Kevin.
Go ahead, Kevin, you wanna talk?
If you check with the Swanton PD, them dogs have attacked Gaston Rayando in his garage, and he had to take a shovel to get him off it. And that's a neighbor right next door, which is south of me. That's Gaston Rayando. He was attacked by the dogs, and I don't believe we had the dog catcher then, but I believe Swanton PD did visit him on that attack.
Yeah, they've been here before too.
Yeah, and when I went out there to chase them off, the one especially just sort of looked at me, you know, but I was crazy, and I had a stick and ran right at him, and he looked at me like, you know, I was kind of afraid because they didn't run right off immediately.
I just stayed on the porch. I didn't go to the porch.
Okay. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
So Jim,
Yes.
so I'd like you to follow up with these folks with the dogs, fine them for not having them registered, and them leaving their yard. And just like you said, the next time they leave the yard, we're gonna be back and the fine's gonna be bigger.
And they have to have a mandated leash on,
And they have to be either on a leash or in their yard.
or,
Or,
So if they bite me, then they have to pay $500?
what's that?
So if I get bitten, then they have to pay $500?
Or if they're not in their yard ever again, if you see them outside, document it, and they get fined up $500.
You folks that are the neighbors to these dogs, if you see the dogs not in their yard, you need to call the animal control officer so he can take action. Because if we don't know that they're out, obviously we can't be there all the time. If we don't know that they're out, then we can't do anything about it.
I think,
And honestly, if you see them out, take a picture of them, then we got proof.
I'd like to see them not
Okay.
in the yard,
Okay.
I would say on a rope or on a leash, period, unless it's completely fenced in. I would like to see a rope or a leash be on the dogs when they leave their building.
Well, they can't, the dog is not supposed to be out in the yard unsupervised, Lou, that's the whole point.
There's a leash law anyway.
There's a leash law, yeah.
We have a leash law now?
Yes. No leash law.
I thought we had a call and they come back law.
No.
That's what Tanya told me 12 years ago.
There's a,
Well, it may be
that was
changed
12
since
years
then,
ago.
The dog ordinance has been revisited
Yeah,
since
it
then.
has
Yeah.
been.
There is a leash
Yeah,
law.
no, they either have to be on a leash.
So can we make sure to warn them as we're ticketing them that they need to be on a leash or on a road,
Yeah,
they
they-
go outside.
Jim usually, that, the animal control officer always gives them a copy of the ordinance, and everything is in there. Right.
They both received copies of the ordinance
Yeah.
along with the notice for the meeting that I sent them, both the cat owner and the dog owner. And the dog owner presented her story, her side of the story.
Yep, I think we got enough information that the dogs aren't staying in their yard, so.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
I think after this,
Yeah.
you need to hear both
Yeah.
stories.
Well, they.
Hello?
My fault.
There's a little internal talking.
So I read something about a muzzle, is that something?
I don't know anything about muzzle,
Okay.
but. We did have an incident one time with a dog that somebody wore once, and we required them to be muzzled if they ever left the yard, or their house.
Okay, have you ever put a dog to sleep?
No. Open her up for there. So I think I'm good. Jim, you all set with what I told you to do?
Yes.
Okay? And you follow up to make sure that those dogs get registered, and when you go out to see them, to find them, they got 10 days to get them registered and vaccinated.
Okay.
Okay?
I just want them to be responsible. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Okay, absolutely. Anybody else got anything?
So, are we done, or?
Yep.
Yep, we are done.
We are.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys, thank you
Yep.
everybody.
Have a good
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You can circle back to Joey, so Ellie drives when we get back.
Yeah, we can. Joey wants to check on something for us, see if we get back. So put that. Yeah, we're gonna skip down to old business, so we keep moving, discuss Alley Drive. Alley Drive had asked us to take over their road, you guys remember that. They had to do some repairs, they did repairs, but they were very poor shape. They didn't do the work that we were told that they needed to do. The driveway's got a pond in the middle of it, they didn't correct that. There's several manholes that stick up out of the ground, the plow's gonna hit. Just poor job. So we need to, basically, it's not in our condition to take it over. It's not in the
That's
condition.
really surprising, they seem very interested.
They did, but they did.
They're about doing everything the right way.
I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a pretty scab job if they didn't fix it, so. I think we just hurry up so the town can take it over, but, I, as the road commissioner and the road foreman, I know I should take it over in that condition. It's gonna ruin our equipment.
Should we bring them in to discuss?
No, that's why we're gonna discuss it tonight. Actually, we got an email from one of the associations where they're at. That road wasn't done to the standard that we told them it needed to be done to, so we're not taking it over. If they want to fix it in the future, come back to this in the future, then they can, but you know, there's no way to do it, so.
I took a ride down there yesterday, and the first manhole on the left, the last one coming out, that has such a dip.
Oh, it sticks out this far?
Well, no, it was down
Oh,
the washout.
Yep.
I'm really afraid if that plow coming out, it hits that, that's really gonna create some danger.
There's one, the water doesn't run from the manhole, runs the other way, so.
You know, I didn't quite see the other ones, but that one really hit my tips. I had to drive through my truck.
As you start down in on the left-hand side, on the outcoming lane, but to the left, there's another one right here that it sticks out that far. I'm not kidding. They never adjusted their manholes to the pavement.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
they've had to some sort of spacer to cover it.
They should have lowered it so that it was, right, with the rolling asphalt. So I'd like David to respond to them that they didn't fix the road they're asking, and we're not taking it over. And just like I just said, if they fix it in the future, they're welcome to come back to the board, but there's other roads ahead of them. So. And we went over it, what you're supposed to fix, so.
Are we going into executive?
You want to do that right now? Or we'll have to do it.
For legal issues?
Yeah. I was waiting for Joey to come back, he wants to find something to pay for it.
Okay, do you want to discuss library issues?
I want to wait on that, talk about that. Yeah, Joey's come back. Perfect timing. It's your dime now. Did you find anything on that?
Yeah, after Sergeant Terra, I talked to Gaston on the phone, because he had called him off duty about the incident in the garage where he had to chase him out of his garage with a shovel.
How long was that?
That was in October.
Okay, of this year?
Of this year.
Okay, all right, so, okay. Well, there's just another.
And then,
Yeah, perfect, thank you for looking for that.
and Sergeant Terra obviously lives in the same neighborhood.
There, oh yeah, I know where they are.
Who's seen the dogs running at large multiple times.
Okay. Where are we at here?
Monthly report?
Yep, monthly report. You, sir.
Yeah, I can dig up my glasses, I think. So, there's 99 cases that were punched for the month of November. The true calls of service were down some in November, because there's a bunch of property watches there. We also did.
Yeah.
It would be nice. It would be nice to be a little more dexterous and have a second set of hands. But I lost that calling in line to be a juggler. We stopped 21 cars. It resulted in warnings, and we stopped another 6 that resulted in traffic.
Do we have a copy of that, George? No.
I emailed it out to everybody.
Yeah, I saw the email.
Oh, I missed it, that's okay.
I can make copies if you
No,
want.
you're good.
It's definitely in your email. So there were, as I said, 6 issued traffic tickets, 21 for traffic warnings. And for a total fine amount that was written out was $1,104. What we, in addition, so we had 240 contracted hours for the month of November. We spent 110 hours on calls for service, leaving 130 for randomized patrols. Out of that, we did 4 directed patrols on Bushy Road, 2 on 105, 2 on McQuam Shore, 1 on St. Albans Road, 1 on South River and Beebe Road, because we're getting complaints again on that area. Which resulted, some of it resulted. What our guys have noticed is that for some reason our traffic has dropped off tremendously in November as we got closer to Thanksgiving at night. It's almost like a ghost town sometimes. Other days it's not. Especially after commuter traffic is done. We noticed that really in the spring, and I think it's partly because COVID cases have kicked up and some people are just not out and about, kind of corralling themselves, but I can't really say why. So the other things with us is we just took delivery last week of another vehicle into our fleet. So we have another Explorer into our fleet, and we'll be taking delivery of another one in a couple, 3 weeks. So the one that we just took delivery on was one that was budgeted for that we had purchased. The one that we're going to be taking possession of, it's at the dealership now. It needs to go for outfitting for radio and all that. That was what we applied for a grant through the federal government, which has purchased that vehicle for us at a zero cost to taxpayers. It'll look pretty close to the rest of our vehicles. It won't have a light bar on it because one of the things the government wanted was what we call a slick top. So it'll have lights, but it just won't have the light bar. So they paid for the interior lights, all that, without the light bar. The zero cost. So what that's ultimately going to do for us is, where next year we would have had to slate it to replace a vehicle, we won't have to do that now. So we'll have to extend the life of our vehicles, which over the town budget and the village budget will reduce replacement of vehicles. Because those vehicles are now running around 48 to 50 grand. to equip and outfit and put on the road. So,
What's the span of a vehicle about average you're getting?
so with the Explorers, what we're finding is we're gonna probably get about 6 years. With the other vehicles, we were getting about 3. And they were just to the point where they were falling apart, nickel and diming us to death. We're being able to expand the life of them.
6 years, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, especially a vehicle that gets, beat on as much as those get beat on,
Miles.
Well, pounding on them going from 0 to 60 to 70 to catch up with a speeder. Those things just kind of push the envelope on those cars, but the Explorer seems to hold up pretty good. The Crown Vic was nice, but it always broke down on us.
Yeah.
And then the Taurus just wasn't heavy enough.
You got all the SUVs now, Joe?
We have one Taurus left, that's our K9 car. But the fact that only one person's using it, that car's holding up really well. We have one truck and then the rest will be SUVs.
Is there a reason why you prefer an SUV over a regular, four-door car?
They don't make any lease packages in the four-door anymore. The Ford actually stopped doing the Taurus in a police package. So what happens if you go buy a commercial full-size car off the lot where you can actually put somebody in it, the wiring harnesses and those things aren't heavy enough to handle the rest of the load, the electrical load we put on them. And so you literally have to purchase a fleet vehicle that's built like that.
Right.
And Ford went to solely putting their efforts into the Explorer for a police package Interceptor. Our other choices would be that, Chevy's got some, Dodge has got some, but the Ford pricing seems to be the better option for us.
Are these all coming from Barrett's?
These two came from Formula Ford because they were on a state contract. We worked with Barrett to acquire them. So he has normally been doing it with Formula Ford to get them to us. He's been great with us. So they're all purchased under the state contract bid price.
Thank you.
And what happens is that unfortunately the government gets one dealership for the state.
I understand that.
Okay. Anybody else on the monthly report?
Nope.
Budget. We have the PD budget here, but have a new copy. Yeah. You want to go over this, Joey, or?
I can, I mean, there's the bulk of our increase in here was some FICA issues that Lynn found that she didn't include in last year's budget by accident. And then the other was our workman's comp went up a little bit, and our liability insurance went up per officer quite a bit. So what happens is, in the benefit side of this, is the way liability for law enforcement work is, it goes on the officer. They charge you per hour the officer works. It's really screwed up. And with the legislation that went through this year, we saw a 21% increase in our liability insurance. Even though we have had no issues across the board, they just literally raised liability for law enforcement by 21%, 22%. That's the exact number.
You must blame it on COVID.
Huh?
They must blame it on COVID.
Yeah.
We're benefiting from COVID.
We're,
Didn't you hear that earlier?
yeah.
I think the actuaries think we're gonna create riots and stuff like they had in some of the cities, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I really, wish I had the sole answer. That's where most of our increases, where all of our increases were.
Joe, do you ever shop at insurance? Because I'm looking at that based on the numbers that you give us. The price, that's $13,000, $13,268, 73 difference. Do you ever shop with other companies or?
Well, for insurance, we actually purchase it through Vermont League of Cities and Towns. And unfortunately, police liability insurance is expensive. And they're pretty much the only ones that are going to insure us.
That just seems like an awful.
Yeah, we have, the town has the same insurance as they do.
When was the last time you checked to see if anybody else would take you?
What's that?
Oh, when was the last time you checked to see if there were other insurance opportunities?
Well, for liability, what the league does is goes out to the whole pool.
Yeah.
Okay.
They literally each year, I mean, because Vermont League of Cities and Towns they're there for the municipality.
That's exactly,
They're out there looking for the best rate for municipalities. And the fact that we're grouped in with every municipality, they have better buying power than we would as an individual going out there. So that's why I think probably 95% of all the municipalities get their insurance through the league, because it's hard to compete with them because their buying power is there.
I think most all the
I
towns.
understand that now, because, you know, when I was in business, all the car dealers had the same insurance company. So,
Yeah.
Same like,
Yeah, that's, you know, I mean, every municipality pays a membership to the league, and, you know, they got that backbone to go out and find this stuff for you.
the only other question I have, Joe, is on the previous year, on the vehicle was 11,705.97. Now we're at 8206. Can you explain that to me?
Yep, it's real simple. So, under the contract, we lease the vehicle, that, we only owe that much money left on that lease. That's when it's paid off. And the fact that we've got new vehicles in the fleet, and we've got the new one coming in on the grant, we didn't have to add in more payments for that.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, the thing with us being a municipality, we can't make a profit on anything that we do.
No, I understand.
So,
Thank
you know, and I couldn't see putting a capital fund in there, because it looks like we might end up with another opportunity for another grant car, because apparently the Department of Homeland Security's got money that they want to throw away. And we're tapping into it, so.
Good job doing that, yeah.
Sounds good. Anybody got anything else on the budget?
No, just, I mean, obviously there's some things there that are out of your control that are adding this up. 6.9, it's that time of year. You guys do a fantastic job, there's no doubt about that. It's just, that number is a scary number this year, that's why.
Yeah, you know, I mean, unfortunately, those are, everything else that you cut out, we've been cut out. Yeah.
Seeing that now.
And otherwise, I think it would have gone down this year. Or been zero funded, or zero increase. So hopefully next year will be stabilized and we can either make a decrease. So we won't have that, well, we won't have the $8,000, we won't have the $8,000 next year, so that'll make things a lot easier.
We're gonna hold you that one too. You heard that.
So the other thing to think about, going forward, and I know it's not, right now is not the time for it, for the police side, is our department was awarded 3 COPS grant positions. Those are the ability for us to hire new officers, where the federal government funds 40% of their salary and benefits for 3 years.
How long is that grant available for?
Huh?
How long is that
3
grant?
years. 3 years.
Like, you have to get it now, or?
We already have it now.
Okay.
It actually, for, when those officers are hired, it goes from that start date on. It was, we applied for it not knowing if we'd be able to use it, but when they told us we could delay the hiring, you know, up to 2 years,
Okay, 2 years.
we said it was kind of a no-brainer, so that if we expanded coverage, you know, the things that officer could be used for is maybe a split officer with the village doing traffic, you know, 40 hours a week, 20 in the town, 20 in the village, and then we split some of those costs. So there's a lot of utility that person could do, or to increase police coverage on times that are not normally covered under this contract. Because as the town grows, I mean, one of the things that I see on my end, and I don't know if you see it on your end, is I have more and more citizens calling me saying, why aren't you patrolling us during the day? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? You know, we really want you, not state police. They dealt with Mr. Wright on Fashion Road yesterday, who complained that he made multiple complaints to the state police about people during the daytime, And he said, I'll see, we'll say, yeah, we'll get a car out there, and he goes, 7 o'clock at night, goes by and flashes the light at me. He goes, the problem was 4 hours before. And he goes, sometimes it's 3 days later that they'll come by. And, wishing, and my comment to him is, his problem we're gonna be able to address with some grant money from highway safety, because it's a speeding problem from and we got a pinpointed time down, so we're gonna be looking at that. But where, the potential for expanding and using, somebody else's funds for part of it, I think is something that we need to explore. How we explore that, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of go into that. I think at some point, I'll speak for myself, I would like to see more police coverage for the town. I know it costs more, but I think, I don't wanna say 24/7, but I think that some of these times that we have elapsed, which are out there, I think in some of these areas, we really need to try to hit at without doing a direct patrol. If we have the officers available, maybe in the coming months here, maybe it's time to start having that conversation for next year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with budget crunching now, now it's too late to really, but now is the time to start having those conversations, especially with, our ability to use that government funds for.
Is highway safety money running out at the end of the year?
No, highway safety money is gonna go until, September 30th.
Oh, wow.
And they just upped the number of hours that we're gonna be able to use, so, and they've opened it up a little bit, because what's happened is some of the money didn't get spent during COVID from last year, so the feds allowed the state to carry over that money versus send it back.
Yep.
So and right now we're unfortunately being asked to cut back on some of that stuff from the state because of the transmission of COVID-19, but we've looked at other safe alternatives to continue what we're doing for motor vehicle work to slow it down. So we're trying to not increase death rate in our community from stupidity on the highway. It's kind of becoming that balancing act for us.
I think we should brag more about how many grants you get, because it sounds like you're offered quite a few.
We look for every opportunity that we can fund things without coming out of the taxpayer's dollars.
I think it's important to make that clear to people, because I know we see the expense rising, but I think that you guys have done your due diligence, finding other ways for income, and I appreciate that. I have more to talk about, but I'll let you finish with whatever you guys are doing.
One more question, Joe. Who do you presently get your fuel from? For your
Ours, Berger.
That's just been a long-standing thing.
I think so. I think that's where the town gets theirs from.
We get it delivered here, I don't know.
Yeah, we have a pump out back. So fuel-wise,
Do you know off the top of your head what you're paying a gallon?
well, they take all the taxes out of it, so
Yeah.
I have
So
no
it's probably 50
clue.
cents a gallon, then we take all the tax out.
What's that?
It's probably 50 cents a gallon, we take all the tax out.
So it's hard to make that comparison when you take most of the taxes out of that.
Yeah. And I'm not, I'm not trying to take anything away from Berger's, but it's just thing comes to my mind is like, I get my gas over at the Shell on First Street because it's 5 cents a gallon off every time you fill up.
Yeah.
And then they have rewards up to so many gallons, you get 30 cents a gallon off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal for me, but for a municipality, it'd just be interesting to find out.
So I don't know what the agreement is with Berger. I know it's been a long-standing agreement that's actually hit both the municipalities for both purchasing.
Yeah.
With the pump out back.
Yeah, no, we did.
And I understand, there's pros and cons because, I didn't pass on to Jim, but I had that conversation with Kevin when I went over and visited him, and one of the things that he brought to my attention, and I got to thinking, it's worth a lot that, if they have, by chance, one of the big plow trucks runs out of gas, Berger will come out at 3 o'clock in the morning and take care of it. Well, I don't think Bob Jolly's guys are gonna do.
No, no.
But anyway,
Exactly.
just looking at different avenues. Thank you.
No problem.
Nothing else for you, thanks, chief.
Anything else in the contract, anybody?
No.
Health officer report?
Yep.
Anything?
So I've got very little to report, but I have a couple of questions, so.
Okay.
So I did the dog bite investigation when the hospital contacted me of the kid with the tongue, and I'm not gonna get into that
Yeah, we don't
story
need to
because
do
I
that.
don't wanna laugh anymore. But, you know, ultimately the kid ended up getting hurt by his own dog, and so that, medically, that report was done, and, you know, verified vaccines and that kind of stuff, and then animal control followed up. I have 2 complaints that I'm currently working on. One is, supposedly illegal apartment that's been an ongoing thing for now probably a year. Dan worked on it, fire safety's been working on it. Apparently it's back into play, it's supposedly being used as an apartment again. So my question for this one and the next one is, do I put that on village letterhead saying, hey, you can't do these actions? You know, I know fire safety's already sent it, or do I just let fire safety handle that illegal apartment, because there's all kinds of fire safety violations for
Well,
it?
I know,
I know zoning's working on it too, so it's just a total mess. You know, from my aspect, there really isn't a health issue, because it's the owner of the project, or the owner of the building, that's living in a makeshift apartment that's not A, zoned for it, B, isn't set up fire safety for an apartment. So I guess I'm asking
It's
for
more, it
like.
doesn't really sound like a health issue than,
Right.
to me, it sounds like a zoning issue to me.
Yeah, I mean, it really is more of a zoning issue than it is a health issue.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, I'd let the zoning deal with it.
and Amy did send a certified letter, just so you know.
Yeah. And I'd let.
Yeah, I mean, I know the zoning, and I know the fire marshal have been working on it for
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yeah.
Well, Amy's aware of it.
Huh?
Amy's aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joey, I have a letterhead designed specifically for the health officer.
Okay.
I'll email that to you, see.
Okay, because the next
Not
one.
for this particular one, but for.
Yeah,
future use.
because the next case that I got yesterday, and I haven't even had a chance to call the landowner, is illegal trash dumping on the property, bunch of trash. So, you know, I went drove by it today and found out who the landowner is, so I just need to send him a letter to.
So somebody's dumping on their own property?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's not
So
it's not roadside dumping.
Yeah, it's a tenant that lives there.
Yeah.
They just choose to throw their trash bags all over the lawn and causing.
Okay, yeah.
Causing that road issue.
Yep.
For their neighbors.
Yeah, no, that's a health issue.
So I've already told the tenants that they need to clean it up.
Yeah.
But I have to, by law, I have to send something to
That's
the
right.
landowner.
Yeah.
Because he's ultimately responsible
That's
for the
right.
cleanup. Although, under state statute, as a law enforcement officer, I'm gonna give the tenants the freaking ticket.
Yeah.
And I've already told them if they don't clean it up, they're getting a fine.
Good. Yep.
Because that one I can issue out as a police officer. I don't wanna, the landowner's not doing it, I don't wanna ticket him, I'd rather ticket the tenant.
That's right.
Do that.
Yep. Sounds good. Anything else under health?
No, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey.
Okay, I'd like to go into executive session now, discuss legal issues. Someone make that motion.
You don't want to wait till the end?
No, because we have the lawyer on hold here.
Who should they go?
What's that?
Separate
It's on the last one, it's on your agenda.
Okay.
Second page of the agenda. Yeah, I know. It's right here again. Nope, there.
All right.
Wait, hold on.
Well, you
That's all right. No.
need the motions
No,
first.
we haven't done it yet. I need a motion to go into executive session.
I move that we find that we enter an executive session of some sort to receive confidential, contractual, real estate, or personnel information for its premature disclosure of it to the general public will clearly place the select board and others that have substantial disadvantage.
All right, and a second on that?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right, going
Okay, go ahead.
Into executive session.
Someone read the second motion.
I move that based on, I make the motion that I move that based on just findings, that premature disclosure would place the select board other than a substantial disadvantage, we enter executive session.
All right. All in favor, signify by
I'll
saying.
second it.
Oh, you need a second, sorry.
Aye.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's have it now.
Any action taken?
No action.
No action taken.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Yes, we do have.
We didn't take no action.
Not moving.
Lots of discussion.
Okay.
Yep. We have to,
We can go over that after if we're missing something.
yeah, we can look back. I'm trying to figure out what we left off here.
Okay.
Discussion of recreation.
Newtown business, discuss the recreation department proposal for a kiosk sign rec pack. Garbage cans and exercise station, page 15, I think we all got that email.
Betsy is on.
Betsy's on.
Yep.
Hi, Betsy.
How we doing, Betsy? Is it past your bedtime?
Oh, did you, foresee library issues and windows?
Yeah.
Caleb's on.
Caleb's on.
Oh.
We skipped that.
Yep.
Get an update on the windows?
Yeah, we can go back to that.
Okay.
Yep. Caleb, you on?
Yep.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Barely.
Barely.
Oh, sorry. Let me see if I can up my mic. Oh, wait, I can do it here. Is that better?
Yes.
There we go.
Fantastic. I asked David to put me on the agenda. Well, first, let me give you the update about the windows. I wrote David, but they're going to be put in December 21st. It'll take a couple of days to do it, and then he's going to finish up like all the trimmings and such on the 28th. So very excited about that. I was displeased that it took longer than was expected, but it's happening this year, which is fantastic. I asked David to put me on the agenda because I wanted to ask, what is the process for us having, the library having a capital reserve fund be on the ballot so that the library can start putting money into a fund that will like go over, be retained from year to year? I don't know if I just ask and it's done, or do you have to vote on it? I have no idea.
So what are you asking? Are you asking the voters for more money to put in a capital reserve fund?
No, we just want, in order for the, you're supposed to have a capital reserve fund so the money can go from year to year to year and you can let it accrue for capital reserve projects. So it's like, we're happy, the library's happy to put money in it. We just need, apparently we need it to be on the ballot so voters will allow it to exist in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have voter approval to roll over your money.
I think
That's
exactly. So do we just?
So you have to put it on a line item on the ballot.
So do I ask the select board that, or do I just like tell David?
I didn't hear what you said, Gil.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just don't know the process by which. Do we just, to get that on the ballot? Do I just ask David?
That would be a Kathy question, I believe. Kathy.
Caleb, is it a new line item you're looking for? Or are you looking to take money that's left over in your budget and put it into reserve fund?
No, we're not looking to like move any money into it, but we've the Vermont League of Cities and Towns said that we just need to have the line item needs to be voted into existence so that we don't have to do it every year.
I thought it had to be voted on every year from what I read.
Not for a capital reserve fund if people vote on it.
Can I just speak, because the rec department does have a capital reserve line item? This is Betsy.
Yeah.
So we work our capital reserve into our budget. It's a line item in our budget, and it's part of what we ask the town for every year. And that money is not, like, that money goes into a money market account. And it's used for specifically like capital improvements or maintenance.
Oh, so you actually move it, it's like you have it as a yearly thing, and then you move it out into a different account, and that's how it persists.
And it's broken, and we break it out into, like, we have specific line items in our money market account for like building maintenance, field maintenance, and we break it out in there. But it's every year we ask for the same amount of money. We've been doing it for, I think, want to say 7 years. But it's part of our budget. Like, it's part of what the town taxpayers approve every year.
Budget, Betsy.
Right.
Yeah. Just like you have a line item for salary, just like you have a line item for insurance, you'll have a line item for capital, your capital improvements, and that's where that amount of money goes, under that line item. And it's voted on within your budget.
Well, if that's the system that if that's good for the rec, and it's like, that's okay, we can do that moving forward in the future. So it's like, if you're good with that, we're good with that.
Yep.
I did want to mention while I was listening that Kathy said that the line of credit exists for like town departments to like get through that January-March period, and she said like fire department, highway department, and library.
No, Caleb, I use the line of credit if I need to use it. It's only when the town runs out of money. So when at the end of December 2020, if I have $400,000 left in my account, in the general fund, because the highway fund is different, then I take that 400,000, and if my budget for this year is I don't have all my numbers, like 1.1 million, I would deduct that $400,000 from that 1.1 million I need, and my budget would be less. And then
The point I was going to make is that we're not. That's just the correction I was going to make. I wasn't going to.
No, but you were saying that I use it for the fire department and this and that, and I only use it if we don't have the money.
Oh,
Kathy, we just meant that the library isn't covered by this.
Right.
Right.
Because it's the town's line of credit to use to cover us if we are short funds in our budget to get us till we receive our tax money.
It's not.
It's not something that we use on a monthly basis.
Let me just, I think I can solve this in 2 seconds. They're thinking that the rec can come to us and borrow money through that, or the fire department can borrow money through that.
No.
It's only if we ran short on making them their payments that they're voted on, we can borrow that money to finish making them their payments that they're budgeted for. That's it.
Right.
They can't borrow any money any other time. They're not even borrowing the money anyways.
No.
It's just us paying them their installments.
Now, we completely understand this. We just wanted to go on record that the library hasn't in the past certainly been part of this coverage that we've been trying this bridge thing.
In essence, you have, because if we give you your money as you request it, either quarterly, monthly, if the town does not have those monies in their general funds to cover the disbursements to the library, to the rec department, to the police station, to Missisquoi Valley Rescue, the town has to borrow that money to put in their general fund to pay your request for money, the rec department's request for money. So it's not like those departments are borrowing money from us. We are borrowing money to give you your budget.
It makes sense?
It does. My concern was that as James said last time, like rightly, it's like there's this weird week. I'm supposed to pick up a check tomorrow, and that check from the town is supposed to last us with like our end of year expenses, and then until March. That's what that check is for. But the concern is that, but I don't think you're supposed to take that money from December and then spend it in the first of the year, which is like, makes total sense. And it's like, is the proper procedure like you're supposed to just hand us the check on January 1st instead, and that makes it okay?
No, because it's your 2020 budget. I'm not sure what your point is.
Well, the point that we heard last time around, and maybe I'm completely screwed up on this one, is that you're really not supposed to carry through money from 2020 into 2021 without voter approval. Is that true, or am I totally off the wall?
No, basically what I think is the misconception is that you have your carryover from 2020, and that carryover, when you're looking at your new budget, typically the carryover gets deducted from your new proposed budget. You get to keep that carryover to carry you through until your budget gets approved in March. So it's not like you're getting the money taken away from you. You're getting your check tomorrow. That should carry you through until the budget's voted on in March, and then you'll start getting your required request, however you want to structure it, after March meeting.
Right. Well, as long as you guys are happy with this bridge function in the library budget, you know, we.
If you're happy, we're happy. We know you've had a marathon session, and we don't want to take up more of your time.
That's where we're losing it here, because that money, they're just going to say that check you're picking up tomorrow. If that check is extra money from 2021, then you need to take that money, extra money from 2020. You need to take that money out of your 2021 budget. But I'm not saying you take that money tomorrow and you'll have it to spend, but you need to reduce your 2021 budget because you have $40,000 extra going into 2021. You understand what I'm saying?
I mean,
so basically, you got a 2021 budget of whatever it is here for a number, just say 150,000. I don't know the exact number. So you're going to add that extra money that you have at the end of 2020 of 40,000 and change to that money. So that gives you more money than what you're budgeted. If you understand what I'm saying?
No, because we've spent 3/4 of our budget because we only started getting money in March because we've never had. It's like this year, the money we got that lasted through January and March, we got in December of 2019, and go back as many years as this arrangement has gone on. That's how it's worked. It's always been you get check at the end of the year in order to pay for the first of the next year, which is, I don't think it's a good system.
Do not think I'm defending that, but it's like. Caleb, I don't set up your payment structure.
I was just going to say
You can get your money however you want to get your money. You sent your letter to me and said how you wanted to get your quarterly payments. I do that with the fire department, the rescue squad. They send me, the rec department sends me in their letter of how they want to get their money. I don't set that up. That's set up by you. You sent me the letter.
We were told that we could not get money before
Who
March.
who told?
Before March.
Oh,
Oh,
before,
before
because your budget's not voted on until March.
Yeah.
Right.
I know, but
we've
that's
always-
the problem. It's not voted on until March, so we don't get the money, but how do we pay for January to March?
Don't you have a carryover?
That use your carryover.
Well, that's what we thought the December money was.
They want to switch it so they don't have to carry over anymore.
That is what the December money
And I won't
is.
give it to them then.
It's the last quarter of our budget for the first quarter of the next year. I know this sounds like a tangle, but that is how it works.
It is a single.
What they're trying to please us
So-
by not having the carryover for 60,000, they're trying to please the system by having it go January to December, because that's what we're telling them we want, but they
It's
don't
been
have
that
any
way for
money.
years.
What's that?
It's
Yeah,
been that way
but
for years.
They're trying to change it, because it's been like that way for years, it doesn't make sense, so they're trying to change it, so it's January to December, because that's what you guys asked for. And they're asking, how can they do that with the support of the municipalities? Can they get paid January 1st instead of March 7th or 8th?
So can I pop in?
Feel free.
Okay,
Any help
so-
is great.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the money that they get in March is supposed to last until March the following year.
Yes.
Yes. So you get it quarterly, so you get your first one in March, then you get the next one 3 months later, then you get the next one 3 months later, and then you get the next one 3 months later, which apparently is December. That December is supposed to take you until March when the next one is voted in.
Right.
But that's really
That's
not.
not how our
it-
budget
it's
works. Our
because it's-
budgets run January to December.
Yeah, and it's a 2020 budget,
All right, then
that's
I'm
the
just gonna
problem, and you're
stay
using
out.
2020 money in 2021.
Right.
Look, we know, but it's like as it's like for like the past 10 years, as far as I know, we've been confused by this. And if you want to change it, we are happy to change it to whatever you think it's supposed to look like. It's just in the past, the select board has told us, no, just do it this way. So it's like we are ambivalent. We will do whatever you think it should be.
Yeah, can we put this on the agenda in the future with Kathy as an advisor to the situation?
I don't know, I know it's 10 o'clock at night now, so.
Yeah.
We've had a long night.
We've discussed it 50
Yeah,
times, I mean.
So Caleb,
This isn't gonna make or break anybody in the next.
the final budget that you sent in the last time, is that the budget?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I need to know, because I have 4.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure I get the last one. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have
I
a
got-
good night.
I got that number.
I hope,
Thank
I
you.
hope it doesn't go on too much longer, but take care.
Thank
Yeah, good luck, guys. Thanks a lot.
Oh, Betsy's
Okay.
still hanging on.
Yep, that's just.
That's it.
Hi, Betsy. She's muted. There she is.
Please make it painless and quick.
Hey, everyone. How are you? I'm trying to find my video. I'm not sleeping. So I'm not going to take up a ton of your time, but thank you for having me here this evening. Chris Sweeney is also on the call, and Elizabeth, we're all part of the Healthy Communities Task Force. So I'm here to speak on their behalf, and they're here also. But one of the things that we were interested in is really kind of capitalizing on the new the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail and the connection to the Fit and Healthy Path, and a way to really get people off the path into our communities to spend money, to enjoy our historical aspects, and just get out and about in our community. So one thing we thought would be a great idea was to put a kiosk at the end of the Fit and Healthy Path near the Robin Hood Drive area. So the reason why I stayed on this call until 10 o'clock was because I need approval from the select board to apply for a $1,500 grant from Rise Vermont to support a kiosk. And I did send information to David and Kathy, and they should have shared it with you. So what you'll see on the pictures is an example of the one they have, one Missisquoi Valley and one the Lamoille Valley. I have spoke to Ken Brown, he with VAST, and there is no criteria, no like there's no set kiosk for the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. So it's up to the municipalities to kind of do their own thing. I do have like specs for it. We have all the information we need to apply for the grant. We just need your okay to proceed. And if you feel like that's an adequate location for a kiosk.
Can I just add something, Betsy?
Sure.
The one they have in Eastburg, I actually built the one they have in Eastburg. The only thing it had to be was, it had to be so many feet off the edge of the Lamoille Rail Trail. I can't remember the exact footage, but it ain't very much, but.
I got
Yeah.
one question and one thing to say. Who's
Okay.
gonna maintain it? Is that gonna be the rec?
No, we're gonna apply for a grant.
No, who would maintain it?
Maintain it.
Oh, well, because it's on town property and you already have someone that maintains that trail, I would hope that it would be the town. And it's,
Oh, Betsy.
Yeah.
well, I mean, what do you really have to maintain on a kiosk?
Well, whether it be stained or change the shingles or update the information.
I will volunteer to do the work.
Well, I mean, if it comes down to that, I mean, I guess we could find volunteers to do it. but-
Your grant's gonna put the sign up and stuff? That's the theory behind it, Betsy?
What's that?
Yeah. Your grant's gonna pay for the installation and the sign and all that?
So,
Yes.
if I
Okay,
may,
and where did you say you're gonna put it, roughly?
Robin Hood.
Under Robin Hood? Okay.
On the rail trail.
As the rail
Okay.
trail starts and the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
trail
If I may, I'm gonna make the motion to allow Betsy to fill out the necessary paperwork to get the grant.
Sounds good to me. Got a second on that? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. There you go, Betsy.
And that's one.
What
The
else?
other item on my, on the agenda is not really like, we don't have to discuss it tonight. It's just an opportunity for us to add more fitness to our recreation path. There's the picture that you'll see is the one from, St. Albans Bay Park. It's a that one that you'll see, it cost about $7,000. It was just an idea, to kind of just increase movability on our fitness path. Funding wise, we can look into other grants, or if the town has funds to help support some of it. I know that we could maybe figure out some grants, but I think it's a great opportunity. The rec department does not have $7,000 to support that, especially not being on our property.
So if I may, and I don't know, the last time I said that, I screwed it up, so maybe I ought not say anything.
I'll let you know if you screw up.
Okay, so is this where the 4th Street discussion comes in?
Well, we thought that would be a kind of a cool space for it, but that was just one option.
So maybe we should talk about that later.
We can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wanna talk about the 4th Street?
Well, I
Quickly?
think,
It was just,
well, I mean, if you, so,
It's already after 10.
I know, do you mind, Betsy,
about what?
if I talk?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the 4th Street property is sitting there, and I know that we would like to sell it for development. But the idea was, because the LVRT is going to be finished in the next year or so, if everything goes on track, and they've made good progress so far, is to put that to some use in the meantime, and it could be picked up, moved off if there was any serious discussion about that property. Just a great location, so we thought we would put it out there. I'm on target so far?
What I like about that.
We probably can't move it. That's the only thing. Like, once you get it in the ground, it's gonna be really hard to move. And if you're gonna invest that much money into that, you probably aren't gonna wanna move it.
Is there an option for something that we can move?
I'm sure those posts are all cemented in the ground. My concern is that property was supposed to be sold, is supposed to be sold to generate revenue to pay for the town garage that we have now. That was the whole theory behind it. Obviously, it hasn't sold very well, but that's the way it was sold to the taxpayers years ago. It was supposed to be sold to pay down the debt. The other concern I would have, if we put that there, I think that place is gonna turn into a parking lot. You know what I mean? That's just all more for people to park there.
And I would argue that's not a bad thing. Gives them additional parking.
Well, I guess we're not allowed to spend all night on it. I think we need to come up with a decision then what we're gonna do with the property, if that's what.
And I think this is a conversation starter, just
Yeah.
to see what, and maybe
I
there's
love the idea. I love the idea.
liability.
But I think there needs.
If we decided not to sell it and then do something else with it, we'd have to put it back to the taxpayers and ask.
I
again.
love the idea of the equipment, excuse me, not necessarily the location.
I didn't hear Heather.
Hey Betsy,
All right.
I got one question.
Sure, Mark.
I think you said your cost was what, 7,000 something?
Yeah.
Looking at that, set on the sheet, it says discount 7,300, the total is 19,000.
No, they only, so I got this quote from St. Albans.
So I just want to make sure that the discount isn't 7,000 off the 19, or 7,000 the true price.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. I think it's a $7,362 discount from the $20,000, right?
That's how I think it might be.
I think you are right. Although this is an example. We don't have, obviously,
Pieces, correct.
right. We don't need that many pieces. And I know that the rec department did write a grant last year for a piece of adult equipment that we're gonna put on our playground at the rec center. So, I mean, doesn't mean, I mean, we could still get a few pieces and put them around or try them out and see how it works.
Yeah, for me, I think we should table this, but I think for me, the location would be better down on the rec field, down to the rail trail, that's myself, but financially, I think where we are, I think it's something we should table at this point.
Well, just one more point, in fine print, it says installation not included in that price,
Of course it's not, yeah, that's just the
down
equipment.
at the bottom, yeah. Well, she said it was.
No, that's on the kiosk, we're gonna include that, not the fitness station.
All right. Can we come back and talk about that more in the future, Cassie?
Yep, so I just have one last thing about the garbage cans on the rec path. So people are putting 5-gallon plastic containers on the rec path, and people are using them and putting their garbage in their dog feces in it. So they're picking up after themselves, but I just didn't know if we could at least put one garbage can and chain it to one of those posts somewhere.
Yep.
And I know that, you know, when the kids used to walk to school, Cindy Rose used to pick up all the garbage along the rec path. So, you know, I know we're worried about vandalism, but we need to also make sure our rec paths are clean and.
That's the, where the funeral home is, that stretch of land, trail that goes through there. We had a concrete bench and a concrete, trash can about 30 inches high. Both of them were busted up by vandals in broad daylight on a Saturday.
Again, right, we're gonna always have animals.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna hurt to put a garbage can.
No, I don't think it is either.
Just a matter of who's
gonna dump it.
Who's gonna dump it?
Yep.
Especially if we go down to, we don't have.
How do we have it before? Did the garbage company pick it up once a week or something?
Well, what about that guy that mows and plows, or the guy that mows the path? What's his name?
Brian, that's who they're
Brian?
talking about.
Yeah,
All
Brian
right.
doesn't work in the winter.
No,
Minor,
it's
yeah.
like-
No, he doesn't.
but probably one of the
We'll,
guys do it.
we'll have David see what he can find for trash cans.
I think we could put a can out there.
If we can't find someone to empty the trash can, I guess we can add that to our list too.
We'll figure it out.
I will
Betsy.
go empty the trash can, Betsy.
Right after we're done.
Yeah.
Jim,
Yeah.
I did send a thing to Betsy and I didn't get a response from her. I own the property that adjoins the rail trail.
Okay.
And I offered that they feel free to put a can there
Okay.
on my property.
Yeah.
So did you hear that?
You hear that, Betsy?
Ed White.
Oh, thanks, Ed.
Oh, over at the end.
Yeah.
Over by the, that would make the most sense, because it'd be easy to.
Well, and the thing of it is we might not be so apt to have vandalism.
Yeah. Closer to the house.
Somebody living right there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Close to Grand Avenue, so I'm offering that.
Yep. Appreciate that. That's a good
Okay.
idea.
Thank you.
Well,
I think there's a lot more people out moving lately, and it's a variety of ages. So I think the more, you know, people out there being active, the less vandals you may see.
Okay.
Thank you, Betsy.
Anything else, Betsy?
I don't think my brain could handle much more.
No, I can't either. That's the problem.
We got a little ways to go yet.
Yeah.
It's overtime.
Yeah, you guys have a long night. At least
Yeah, we
we're
got
all.
overtime tonight.
Been a long time since we're here, like. Okay, thank you,
All
Betsy.
right.
Thank you.
I think we're good.
Good night.
We got approval to apply, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Go
Thank
for
you.
it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Right. Discuss highway budget.
Now, I didn't have a chance to look at that.
Level funded, guys. Open and shut.
Yep.
Can't get any better than that.
Where do you see that one?
We already went and did the fire department budget.
Yep.
Mark, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the highway department budget.
There's a copy there.
I gave you one, you came over and got it from
Are
me.
you seconding?
No, I haven't even.
Yeah, tonight.
Oh, well, you
I think I know where it is.
Let me see if I can find it.
we can do another discussion. You can just, yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Someone's trying to move along.
I see that.
Yeah.
So these are all true numbers now?
Yeah.
Because the police department budget is right, then the
Yeah.
fire truck budget is correct.
Yeah. What's that? No, we're not actually. It looks at, like, when you go down to the bottom and add back in
The very bottom?
the very bottom, all the grant funds. Because what happens is we pay all that first, then we get reimbursed, so it looks like an over budget, it's really not. The bottom line is right here. Yeah, here we go, just like, well, I don't have anything. Not much, we got a lot of paving to do next year, so try to use as much as I can in the paving budget. Nothing particular. No. All right, you got a second on that motion for the highway budget?
Second it, Jim.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
No, the only other thing I think that we just wanna keep in mind, see we have the sidewalk on here.
Yep.
Well, we should start thinking pretty soon the maintenance of the sidewalk.
Mhm.
Whether it's putting it in.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
We're gonna want to.
Well, that
Yep.
money that's on the sidewalk, that's our contribution to the grant. So we got
Yeah.
5 years of that?
Right, but what I'm saying is we better.
Then we have to maintain them.
Equipment.
Yeah, then we're gonna think about buying
On
equipment.
Because the village is now maintaining the current town sidewalk, so.
Yeah, that's it, they're maxed out, as long as they're so.
Yeah.
No, I said that first, when we had the site visit, that we're gonna have to talk about our kind of employees get there in the winter, we're gonna have to talk about equipment to do it. There you go, yeah. Somebody else brought that up. to me.
There's one thing I would change on here, is it says channel 15, it's not the name of it's not channel 15 anymore, it's Northwest Access Television.
You're on the general budget, we're
Oh,
not
you
even
must be
there
on
yet.
general.
I'm sorry, did I
I
skip?
was just to say, where's, 15 in the
Northwest
highway
Access?
budget? Yeah,
Northwest Access is right?
Okay.
Yes, because it's not even 15 anymore, it's like 10 something weird.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Anything else on highway?
Well, just one thing that Joel recommended sometime, maybe not for this year, but, he wanted to put money aside in capital reserve to repaint the bridge, the walking bridge, because that gets pretty expensive when you have to do it.
Well, I think we're gonna start saving that next year.
Yeah.
We're not on our plate this year.
No, I wasn't suggesting.
Yeah, no.
2021 budget.
There you go. Already working on it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, guys.
My turn.
General. Now I gotta find it.
All right.
Is that the general one in the packet or is it separate?
It should be attached right behind your highway lines.
Could I interrupt to ask a question about the general budget?
Who's talking?
Roger George.
What was his question?
He asked if he could ask a question about the general budget.
We haven't even talked about the general budget yet, but. Yeah, real quick, sure, go ahead.
The New Year general budget, if you're putting any provisions, any financial support in to attempt any mitigation to the conditions in Maquam Bay.
It looks like we are giving $2,000
I haven't even looked at the general budget, I'm about to look at it.
right here.
We're gonna talk about it in just a minute, you wanna give me a couple minutes and we can come back to you if you'd like, Mr. George?
Okay, yeah, I didn't know how much longer I could stay on this evening, but I'll hang in there.
Yeah, we're all hanging in there. All right, here it is, I was in the wrong stack. General budget.
This looks different than what I got in my email.
Oh,
I didn't send you a budget in the email.
what's that?
I didn't email the budgets.
Oh, that's why, there you go.
Yeah.
My budget final number isn't, it says to be determined, because I have one, well, I got the rescue, I think, might be the right one.
Yeah.
The rec department, I'm gonna get next Tuesday. I had to call Northwest Solid Waste to find out exactly what the fee is going to be this year, they're getting back to me. So once I get those 3 numbers, then I'll have the final
Did you
numbers.
see the request from Northwest Regional Planning Commission? Did you get a copy of that?
Yes, it's identical to.
Yeah,
Is it the same numbers what's on here?
They didn't change it.
They didn't change,
They
okay.
didn't change it, they
I
left
just
it.
got a letter.
Cause I called and talked to them today to make sure, and they said they didn't make any changes
Yeah.
this year.
They
Okay.
did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
What, you got question, Matt?
Yeah.
Go for
Okay,
it.
go ahead.
I think ran down the bookmobile. I didn't think that was in service anymore.
Yep, it is. I called and made sure.
Okay.
I verified it.
Did we receive a letter from the chamber about Swan Care maintenance?
Yep, and they wanted to increase from 1,500 to 2,000, and it is put on here. It's under Swan
I
Care.
only see 15.
Where are you? They're on here. I told you that.
That page about halfway, just under halfway. Swan Care,
Swan Care maintenance.
15.
Oh, because I didn't want to put the 2,000 until we talked about it tonight.
Okay, that's
But
fine.
they did
I
do
do
a
wanna make
request.
sure.
Yep, I haven't had a chance to get there yet.
Okay.
So they did, Adam did send a letter, and so I discussed with David earlier, is that we used to give them $2,500 a year.
Yep.
And they weren't using it, so they came back to us and said that we'll lower it down to the $1,500 a year, but on the stipulation that if they ever needed the money back, they could ask to go back up to that, and at that time, that was a long time ago, it was agreed that yes, we would raise it back up. So I didn't add it in here until you were good with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe we're both in the same position to advocate for one, we're both sit on both boards. But I know the situation with the Swan Care is taken over more so by the chamber in the need of more. We don't get food free anymore. So
Yeah.
that was the ask. Yeah.
So if everybody's good with increasing the Swan Care from 1,500 to 2,000,
Yep.
we can do that, and I'll make that adjustment.
Okay.
And David, you had one?
Yeah.
David?
Yeah, I had later on the agenda, but I'll bring it up now because it concerns this. If you look about a third of the way down on the second page,
Yeah?
you'll see Franklin County Court Diversion Project.
Yep.
Okay, they currently get 1,000. This year they sent a letter requesting 3,000. They want an increase from 1,000 to 3,000.
It's my understanding that when people want an increase, they have to come to the board and ask for it in person. Is that not true?
No, not usually.
No,
Sometimes they do, I think.
No.
It's up to them.
Sometimes they do.
If it's a brand new request, they have to come in.
That's just a new request, okay.
Yeah.
Right here, yeah.
And I think they made the same request last year and got turned down.
Yeah, I think so too.
You're gonna get turned down this year too.
Yeah, we don't have the money. I'm sorry, but I'm only one, but. I mean, we got how many things on here? 20 odd things on here that we donate, appropriate to
And
the
how does this work? Do we just continue to fulfill these, because they were voted on? They're just indefinitely, money goes to the
Well-
bookmobile forever?
last year or the year
And the
before, we put them all
teams
back
up.
on a separate line item, but,
Last year we voted it as a whole,
yeah.
so this year we can vote them as individual items. But I get letters from every one of them saying, thank you for your support of last year, please put us on your agenda
So
this year.
they do-
I have them all in my office,
That's what
I
I was
just
gonna
didn't bring them
ask,
with me,
just
because I got a folder like this big,
So they do get put on the ballot every year,
Yes.
forever? Okay, until they.
And then unless you
single.
decide you don't want them
Yeah.
on anymore, and you can
Not
vote
on
to
the
take anybody
ballot.
off
Okay.
you want to,
Yeah.
just because they request doesn't mean you have to leave them there.
Okay.
I mean, they can request the money, and as a board, you can say, well, no, maybe we don't wanna do that one this
Yeah,
year.
they don't get put on there every year separately. It's a lump number unless one person asks for an increase, then that'll be a separate line item.
Okay.
Like year before last, we put them separately because few people complained they wanted to vote individually. It didn't go anywhere, none of them got voted out, so.
Right, so every so often, we will put them out, instead of doing a lump sum, because we can do them all as one lump sum, but every so often, we'll put them out as individual line items to be voted on individually, like every 3
It's
years.
just hard because that's like 15, 16
Yeah.
things, it makes the ballot this long.
Yeah,
you
sure
know.
it does.
Right,
Yeah.
and what we find out is people will get going and then they stop voting on them,
Mhm.
because there's too many, they
Okay.
just stop, because we get a lot of undervotes when
Okay.
it goes to the machine after.
So the
Yeah,
research on
if we
Mr.
start
Barr's
benefiting from
operation.
one, like the Franklin County Animal Street that gets taken off, we don't contract with them anymore.
We
Yeah.
choose to do that?
They don't take dogs.
They don't do anything for us.
We choose to do that, not the voters?
Yeah.
It's a contract.
Yeah.
Select board, it was, I should say.
Yeah.
Jim, Franklin County don't know.
Yeah.
Why so much money?
We have a lot of people that
Yeah,
and ask for it.
I don't have an exact answer for you.
They service a lot of people.
Yeah.
I could give you the information on that. Because they came from increase from us 2 years ago, they came with an
I
increase.
think so, yeah,
But they do a lot in this community, and I can get you the information on that.
yeah.
Cause they did it for
They had,
like,
I remember them coming,
they
they
did it by
let us know how many
percentage.
how many people they help in the community.
Right.
and-
You'd be
Swanton
surprised
did
at the
more
amount of
than
money,
Wales.
Yeah,
the amount of people they help with that money, a lot.
yeah,
But I can get that for you.
You can.
I can. Who's that, Kathy?
If somebody could answer Roger George that we give $2,500.
Franklin County Home Health.
just a second.
Oh, okay.
What's that? We should, but we don't have to. Yeah, you have a point. Yeah. What were you saying, Heather, now?
Can we tell Roger George that 2,500 is given to supporting the water?
Yeah, actually, Friends of the,
I'm just adding the two of them together.
yeah. Mr. George, you there?
Yes.
So we do have in our general budget for Friends of Northern Lake Champlain, that $2,000 goes to them, and then Missisquoi River Basin Association, $500 goes to them. So there is something.
And Mr. George, David just.
Are those new items?
No, they've been on there.
No,
But Mr. George, David Discavige, I wanted to tell you, I sent you an email that the Friends of Northern Lake Champlain applied for a grant to have an environmental assessment done of the shoreline in, of Lake Champlain in Swanton and Highgate, and were approved for a grant of $38,000 plus to have that done this coming year.
Yes. Yep, no, I was aware of that actually prior to your email, but thank you. So my question was, are those the 2,000 and the 500, are those new items in this coming year's budget, or have they been in previous years?
in previous years.
Okay. Anything new for any of the conditions, perhaps equipment to remove some of the weeds and sludge in the area or things like that, like budgets?
No.
No. Is that discussion closed, or or I'm curious why there wasn't any consideration for that?
It's not closed, we're doing our budget right now,
Yeah.
so that's our focus right now, is getting the numbers through.
Okay.
Because we have the ballots coming up and we have to get all the information to everybody,
Yeah.
so we can approve the budget in March.
No, I realize all that. I've spent 30 years developing school district budgets. Again, my question is,
It's not over, we're still working on it,
okay,
for sure.
is there any opportunity for input on additional items?
You mean on the
Or in
budget?
actually-
Not really, no.
Right now, I don't.
Not at this time.
No.
He wants to know if there's an opportunity for additional input on the budget before it gets finalized.
No.
I mean, I don't know. What would you like to say?
Yeah.
I think that we need to really wait out to see where this grant is gonna play out, to see what actions they suggest that we take before we put any appropriations in any general fund, not knowing where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, that was my question. I got separated from your meeting. I was wondering what action item occurred when you folks came back, an action item resulting from your lengthy executive session.
There was no action taken.
No action taken.
What was the reason for the executive session being in the middle of the meeting then? If the intention wasn't to come back with some action item, just curious.
There was somebody who was available for a specific period of time.
It's just what it said on the agenda, what we discussed.
Yeah, he wondered why it was in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah, it's just the time that person could be available, so. I'm gonna move ahead with our general budget, because that's, what we're discussing right now. If you have anything else, Mr. George, you can come back under, public comment at the end. Anybody else for anything in the general budget? Yeah.
My suggestion, because we're still trying to work through
Yeah.
the library budget, this is just so we can get this, whether we approve the general budget tonight, I think that, for the town appropriations for the public library, that we level fund it to last year's same number for town contribution of 166,676. Instead of the 171,780 proposed from the library.
Yep.
That's just me.
Agree with that. Anybody want to second that?
I second it.
All right. You were making a motion, right?
Correct. That was a motion.
So we're motion to approve the general with the,
Last year's appropriation was
Last year's-
166,676.
for the library. Okay, I got a motion in a second. Any other discussion?
I don't understand why that's necessary, since they told us how much money that they need,
So why do they need an increase in their budget then if they have all that money?
because people were given a more, livable wage.
But I understand, but Heather, right here on their budget, it says $20,000 carryover. I'm only taking 5,000 of that.
We're being very generous.
That's all I've done. I don't think that's fair.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
So can we approve the budget subject to the Northwest Solid Waste and Betsy's budget coming in? And then, once I get those numbers, I'll send it to you? Or do you want to have another meeting to approve this?
I'd rather not have another meeting if we don't have to, a special meeting.
Because basically,
Unless you're gonna wait for the first meeting in January.
nothing is going to change, except for I'm gonna get, Northwest Solid Waste, they may change. But overall, the general fund budget is down 20%.
Nice.
And the rescue squad is up 2, the library, that's gonna change. And I put Betsy's in at 125, I don't think it's gonna be that much, they'll know more on Monday. So those are items out of my control anyway, so if you wanna approve the general budget, subject to those 3 items, and then I'll send you a final, or if you wanna have another meeting.
I thought Betsy's budget was decreased, I didn't think it was an increase.
Well, I just put a number in there because they're working on their numbers. I'm gonna have the bookkeepers going in over the weekend and paying their final bills, and then she's gonna send it to me, because I think it's supposed to be like 90,000, but I just put that number in there so I could have a number. But I will have the actual budget on Monday or Tuesday.
I think we better wait till we have the exact numbers and vote on it, then I don't wanna vote on something we don't have.
Well, it was subject to getting those numbers.
But then how are we all gonna agree on the final number if it's not what we
That's right,
want?
so we're gonna have to have a meeting then.
Can we wait till the first meeting in January?
We're pushing it, aren't we?
Yeah, you can, it's fine, it's fine. And I worked for 18 hours now.
I'm trying to make this as simple as possible, so.
Yep, that's fine, we'll do it the first, because the first Tuesday in January is like, yeah, that should be fine.
Sure.
I can make that work.
Okay. I don't want to Michelle at the last minute.
So we're gonna do that one first, yeah.
All right.
But we're good with the highway budget.
We're good with that? That's
All
all we
right,
need?
perfect.
Yeah. I didn't realize we didn't have the final number on track. I thought we had it. but-
No, I tried to get it, but,
Yeah.
and Northwest Solid Waste, like I said, I called them too.
Yeah, well, their fees just went up to the dump, so I wouldn't be surprised if they Yeah, first of the year.
Okay, so we'll do that on the 5th, 2021.
Where are we at now?
Me.
You?
Me.
General? You did the general?
So I guess it's a good thing, it should be in the packet, page 25 of the updates.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you read them because I know you all can read. The only thing I will add is that 1A, I and 2, 1 and 2, those actually have, those have gone in. So we are doing letters, and those letters of intent went in. South River Street, have a meeting in mid-January to move forward on that. We do have the Phase 2 work plan, and we have a budget of that. I should say the village has a budget for that, which came in at $30,930. So the grant that we put the letter of intent would cover 30,000 of that. So we can find the village can find the other $930.
Yep.
We are getting the alternatives for the downtown scoping study will be presented to the steering committee on Thursday. We are looking at a way to push that out to the public because we want public response, so we're going to brainstorm that. But we will be, the village will be applying for a grant to do some long-term demonstration projects to try out some of the alternatives that will be presented. So that's it. Let me know once you've read it, if you haven't read it, if you have any questions. There we go.
Anything else? Good.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. General orders. I gotta find them here. Almost that.
They were long.
I'll make a motion to accept
Everything's long.
general orders dated 11/18/2020 to 12/15/2020.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Everybody looked at them? There's tons and tons of overpayments in there.
And then stem from
Tax,
the state.
the state payments and.
Yep. Everybody good, or do you need a minute? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Under general. Highway. Can you hear a motion on highway?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the highway budget from 11/18/2020 to 12/15/2020.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion on that?
Oh, I'm sorry, 11/8. Oh, yeah.
You're good, yeah. 11/18, 12/15.
Yay.
Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Payroll must be next, yeah, payroll.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the payroll orders from 11/18/2020 to 12/15/2020.
Any discussion on that? Right, actually, I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye, sorry. Any opposed? Ayes have it. The last one is the Missisquoi Valley Union School District. This one,
Do we have to?
I need a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion to accept the MVU orders dated 11/18/2020 to 12/15/2020.
Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Nice job.
Opposed?
That
Ayes
one.
have it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Highway updates, don't really have much of anything. We got 2 dangerous trees taken care of in the last couple of weeks, we did get that done. Some bad limbs and stuff had to be cut out. One on each side of town.
Was that the pay for Gabri's?
Yeah, that was for the bill for Gabri's. One was out in West Swanton and the other one was over in the shoulder.
I was wondering, it said trim trees hanging over homes, is that what you're talking about?
Well, I was hanging in the road, basically.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, trees in our town regulations are responsible for maintaining, so.
Sitting my folder.
I didn't see them in that swamp, but that was a machine there, and then when I looked out over the shoulder, that had dead limbs in it, kind of dangerous, so they proved them out.
That seems different.
We have to do that yearly. We have
I'm like,
ones we
where's
try
our
to
neighbor?
get
Alphabetical
for
order,
ourselves.
but it kicked it around because, I don't know why it's bigger.
Yeah, we do have, lost my train of thought here.
I saw that they're buying stuff at Obashan, and I was grateful for that.
Oh, yep.
Supporting that and Codas, and
Yeah, they do a lot of business.
Just spread it around.
Yeah,
A reminder of the Swanton businesses.
best we can. And just one? No. I did almost underneath. Barry Road, David, is that you or you want me to talk about it?
Yeah.
You're rolling.
Just got this letter today from V-Trans saying that we need to plan for the replacement of the Berry Road culvert in the future.
Are they gonna pay for it? Why did they pay for it when it damaged? That's what I wanna know.
Yeah, well, because the town had to replace it quickly, repair it quickly to get
Well,
the
I
traffic
go
going.
back, dug it up, fix it.
And that was a decision that someone,
Yeah.
highway made at the time. I talked to Kevin about it, he said it is deteriorated on the bottom, and it's like a gent.
That's,
And so,
that's a $100 job all day long,
or more,
or more.
yeah.
Is there a date, or deadline we have to do it by?
No, he didn't give one here.
Probably right back and tell them we'll fix that culvert as fast as they fix them ruts by the pond over, so.
Yeah.
Or
Did you see the email on that one?
Yeah,
The latest one?
yeah.
Don't they get 78, then we'll get
I think, I wanted to talk about that, I wanted to talk about it on highway real quick.
Thank you very much.
I think we should write a letter that and send it to the governor.
78.
No, about the mess over on the end of the pond road, the state won't do nothing about. They don't find there's any issues with it.
Only if you're speeding. If you're
Only
driving
if you're
at
speeding, go across. I went across it today, and I was doing 45 miles an hour and watched a truck in front of me going like this all over the road. It's ridiculous.
But that happens to me every time I drive down 78.
I was gonna say.
You go to Franklin. Franklin, off State Park Road.
No, it's not even that. It's, when you come off the end of the pond road, it's all ruts from the heavy trucks in the road. When you're coming down 105, you go around that corner, it's
I did it.
right around sideways, yeah. And they don't see, the state sees no issue with it, not a trip hazard.
Right. Maybe they had their expert go there to look at it.
Expert, lawyer sent us back an email, and it's ridiculous.
I'm in support of changing man, I don't know if we're doing good.
What's that?
I'm in support of saying I don't know if we're changing, but it's gonna do any good. It's a priority right now.
Just, I sent them a letter to the governor, say, this is what we got from the Secretary of Transportation, and we're not satisfied. It's a serious traffic hazard, and they don't see it.
You don't drive it every day.
Yeah, I drove it every day. And it's been that way for a couple of years now, it's only getting worse.
Yeah, well, they even admit that.
I've been behind their own state trucks and watching them bounce over.
Yeah, they admit in their own email that they're aware of it for years now. So,
Can you, I got one more thing under highway. Can you find someone to contact down there and ask them if they can clean up that mess down there in Pond Junction again? I don't know why they can't take it upon themselves.
which,
Down on Route 7,
That's full off.
they call it Pond Junction by the railroad tracks. Go past your place and people
Oh,
are pushing
yeah.
on the curb.
what
Wait,
the
go off it.
oh, there are?
Oh, there's 3-4 bags of garbage in there again.
That's we put some garbage barrels there, and solve it.
Why, don't wanna pick them up? We did that.
Put road barriers.
It's all full of garbage in there again.
Guardrails.
Yeah.
I don't know, send an email to somebody.
Jim
Clean it
Coda.
up. Yeah,
So James,
no reason why they can't clean that up.
I am on the transportation advisory.
Advisory
Transportation, yeah, that, so I can mention Pond Road to Bethany.
Yeah.
I'll mention
Sure.
78
Anything will
too.
help.
We had a, we
There's
talked
been
about
garbage on
that.
that corner by Charcoal Creek. It's, you must see it,
It's
the
bad.
boards
Yep.
and woods and.
I saw a
wood.
tire out there somewhere the other day, one out there.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
Sunday.
whatever that is, it ends up like flopping into the road and then it goes back.
Yeah, well, put that on David's list too, tell him wherever it is, he can tell him that one too, and clean the mess up.
Which,
Out on 78,
Trash on
there's trash out
78.
there going around too.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Between the railroad track and 78,
Where the people fish?
just before Charcoal Creek, yeah,
yeah, by Kimball Bay Road.
closer to Swanton than.
Yeah.
Campbell's Bay Road.
Anything else for highway?
Great job.
I gotta read my list, make sure I got everything.
Difficult times are ahead, right? Lots of
That's right.
snow.
Yeah. Oh,
Do we
one
do?
more thing, we gotta discuss, cost of living.
Oh, you haven't done that yet?
No, we haven't done that, I wrote it on my list, I didn't forget, for
Um,
our employees.
And that letter
Raise.
too,
What's that?
the letter about.
Oh, yeah, they got that one and the other one.
Are you going back in executive session for that?
I don't think we need to, do we need to go into executive session to talk about it? The state average is what, 1.6? Is everybody good with a 1.6 cost of living?
That was inflation,
Yeah, I think it's fair enough. I mean, yeah, we're trying to cut as much as we can this year to the minimum.
Yeah, for me, I hate to not give people money, but I hate to give too much. Something minimal is fine, but I think that there's people really hurting in this community.
We just told the library they couldn't have an increase in their livable wage.
No, that's not what I said.
That's not.
No,
that
but
has nothing to do with it.
I'm saying that. I'm saying, we just told the library they couldn't do that, and now we're gonna do it.
They were asking for 3%.
Actually 5.
Yeah, actually, if you wanna go back, I can go
They
back and
got,
find
they got
out.
1.6, or they got 1 point,
I think it started at
They
9
put it in
something,
their
and went to
salaries,
6,
their
and went to
raises in
5.
yeah, it was 1.55 is where they settled. Yeah. So they-
1.6 close enough.
Yeah.
Everybody good with 1.6? Good? All right, we need to vote on it then, I assume, right? Right, David? We can vote that. I need a motion then for cost of living raise for 2021 for 1.6%. Right, yeah. Someone make a motion?
I'll make the motion to, cost of living raise for town employees to 1.6% for 2021.
Yeah, second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's have it. All right, that's done. We can do those other things under correspondence. Any other necessary business? I got B tax. What did I write tax?
Then
Oh, yes. Sorry, didn't go on that here.
I think it's in an envelope, isn't it? A white
It
envelope?
was, yeah. I don't know where I went. Right. Oh, forward it.
Should have folds in it, and she's folded.
Yeah, it's right, there's one of them, there's the envelope. Oh, too many budgets, it's right here. I got a letter from Betty Cheney. She's requesting the select board permission to retain services from Bon SP Como Esquire to assist in completion of this upcoming tax sales as required by the state, by the statute. This is something she does every time she has to put places up for sale, tax sales, she has to get their
every
board's
year.
help, so.
Is this pertaining to the woman that was on public comment?
One of them.
One of them probably, yeah, there's more than deserve, I'm sure. Yeah.
I don't like threatening people's homes when we're in the middle of this situation.
Well,
with the
you gotta pay
pandemic.
your taxes, sorry. And it probably ain't just this year, if she's doing tax sale, it ain't just this year's taxes, it's multiple years'
It's
taxes.
2018,
Yeah,
it's usually multiple.
yeah. I had to pay my taxes, it's a tough year, I expect
You
everyone
have
else
a
to pay theirs.
job.
Yeah.
You're not elderly and living on a fixed income, so
sorry, but
that's a privilege.
That's the way the rules are.
So-
Anybody else got anything on this? Sort of make a motion?
Yeah, I can make the motion.
Yeah.
For Betty to retain council tax sale.
Can I get a second on it?
I second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Right.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay, good, that's fine.
Changes, you could just note on there for her, approved by the select board on, was December 15, 2020, and then sign it. And then that'll, I think that'll suffice for her.
You don't have to do it right now.
And then Kathy would pick that up later.
Yeah, see, it's almost the 16th here. Okay. No, where are we under? Any other necessary business? No other correspondence. There's a letter requesting your, I don't know if you guys saw that, requesting use of our town parking lot for some tenants that live across the road.
Very last page.
Yeah, it's in your packet if you wanna read it. They want to park 4 cars over in their town parking lot. I have no interest in allowing them to park in their town parking lot. It's a rental property across the street, and they park on the property they rent from. We don't need to get in the habit of people parking in our parking lot, and then who knows what happens.
I would like to say that the reason why they're requesting that is because they cannot park in the street because of the snow plowing at this time of year. They're only interested in parking in our parking lot on weekends and on Friday nights, and not during work hours, from my understanding, when other people in our community are using it that work at the office. That's my understanding. It's also public parking. It's public
No.
parking.
It's not public
The
parking.
reason highway doesn't want them there is for the same reason they're banned from parking on the road. When they need to plow, they need to clear lots to
That's
plow
right.
on. They can't keep weaving in and out of cars.
And it's not, they rent from the property across the street. Their landlord should have them a place to park. It's not our responsibility to give them a place to park.
And one of those tenants has 3 cars.
Yeah.
So let them get rid of 2 cars and they'll have more space
Well, I
there.
think there's 4 people who live there, right?
No, I'm not talking about these. There's a lot of people in that building now. These 4 of them
There's 4 or
over,
5
everyone
apartments
else is
there.
gonna migrate over.
Okay, I was originally in favor certainly of allowing them, but as David said, looking into it more. I work with a young lady and she's a great person. She really is nice.
Mhm.
They're in a situation that's tough, but I think the landlord is really need to work this out.
Mhm.
It was the summer and it wasn't winter, okay, great, you need a spot is one thing, but
Yeah.
the plow guys and then, what is the legalities of something that happens to them vehicles out there? Are we on the fence for it? I don't know.
Well, that's the next thing, and then when they start parking in front of the building where we all park, or our employees all park.
I mean, I'm back and forth, but probably best if they don't. I mean, love to help them out, but I think they have a landlord issue to settle the
Absolutely.
dispute.
You know, I asked Kevin in the highway, he said, no way. This is too much trouble.
Yeah, and then if we run into one of their cars or we're plowing the parking lot, we're responsible. There's the next thing.
And I feel for them, I do, but I think they need to get with their landlord and have some good
I know
conversations
who the
here.
landlord is, I can have a discussion with him.
If you get another tenant that's doing damage to the vehicles,
Yeah.
and their landlord's not doing anything, shame on that.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't realize they were like that, but.
Yeah.
The landlord, anyway.
So we're not gonna take any action on that thing.
Unfortunately, I don't like to show out.
I think, Jim, I read the letter from front to back. and
Yeah.
We're just opening ourselves up for some liability
Mhm.
there.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep. And there's nothing against the people, I'm sure there's people, but.
controversy between the tenants,
Yep.
damage being done,
Mhm.
we don't want to get involved in that.
No. No.
I feel like other, I sympathize for them, but
Yeah.
it's not our duty to provide them with a place to park.
Mhm. Yep. We don't need to vote on that, do we, Dave? We just don't take any action on it.
No, you just tell them to discuss it, you're not interested.
Not interested, okay.
Can we specify when we're telling them that they can't park, is saying that due to the snow plow also needs to plow that area as well, and that we also would have to worry about liability, so that we at least have some common sense reasons for them, and we're not just brushing them off? Can we write a letter?
I think it's fair, I mean, to say we're in the same predicament as snowing and the plowing, we're just going from, instead of the village, now you're going to the town property, and it's the same situation, I think it's fair to ask.
Yeah.
No,
If you can explain it like that, so that we're not just, because they could just get frustrated that, well, our tax money is paying for these public spaces to park. and-
Not really tax money, but. Okay. I already did that one. The only,
Public comments.
what's that?
Is there any public comments?
I haven't got there yet.
I thought that's what you were at, after public comments.
Yeah, I wrote B on here, but can't remember.
That was the court diversion. you've
Court
already done.
diversion.
Oh,
That
we
was a
talked about
request
that.
for the extra 2,000
Oh,
on top
yeah,
of the
okay,
1,000.
I'm sorry, too many things on here, really. What did they ask for, extra $2,000?
Yeah, they're getting 1,000, they want 3,000 this year.
What's that, Aaron?
I'd hold that to one.
Hold it at one, so it's.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's
No, I'm fine with
plenty of
that.
other members. I would also.
We're asking everybody to level fund, Okay. Yeah. Okay. We don't need to vote on that, do we, David? Or do we need to?
Yeah, I would just
Okay.
make it final, because.
A motion on that to remain at
Motion that,
$1,000.
we stay with the $1,000.
Yep. And a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
For what?
Court diversion?
Court diversion, they asked for $3,000, and we
Yeah.
get the 1,000, so.
I think you need to say that in the, when you make the motion, right?
You did.
We did, he did, said, Mark did.
Oh.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I just want to say while we're talking correspondence, I got an anonymous letter from the town, my town below, from somebody here in West Swanton with multiple complaints about everything over there on that island about zoning. I don't respond to letters that don't have a person's name on them. So, simple as that. If you can't put your name on a complaint, I'm sorry, but we're not going to take action.
There's an official complaint form people can fill out too, then
Yeah.
they have to sign.
Yeah, and it just rambles on about this one and that one, and it's, the whole thing is crazy.
Can I have it?
Can you have it?
Yeah.
Sure, you can read it, if you can read it. Yep. Anything else for correspondence? Public comment. Anybody got anything else they want to add to public comment? Anybody online over there?
No.
It's almost 11 o'clock, so. Beautiful. Next planning commission meeting Wednesday, December 16th at 6 PM by Zoom. Thursday and Friday, December 24th and 25th, 2020, Christmas holiday. Town offices and operations will be closed, of course, with the exception of highway, they have to go out. Friday, January 1st, 2021, New Year's Day, town office and operations will be closed. Next select board meeting will be Tuesday, January 5th, 2021, 7 PM by Zoom here at the Village Complex. Do we need to go back in executive session?
I'd like to just real quick, unfortunately.
Okay.
I move that we find out we enter executive session for select board to receive confidential contractual real estate or personnel information for which premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I will second.
Sorry.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Read the second
I
one.
move that, based on just findings that premature disclosure would place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage, we enter an executive session.
I will second that again.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Will we be coming out?
And we're gonna have a
You
motion.
want me to make the motion?
Go for it.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve a loan of $1 million to Lead Evaporator in the contingency that they have personal guarantees from the 13 shareholders.
To repay the
To
balance
repay the
due
balance
if they
due.
default.
If it defaults, okay.
Yep.
That's what I'd like to do.
And approval.
In the final approval from our lawyer on the paperwork.
And a final
Final
approval.
document, so that we can move forward with this. Sounds good.
I will second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We
Nay.
got one nay over here.
Okay. Oh, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, out of here.
Yay.